You seen that Gil shit?
Who? Gil and Cam?
Nah, Gil's Arena.
Oh, nah. Oh,
Arenas.
which what? Oh, you talking about the Nick Young shit?
Nah, this nigga just got hit with Fed charges.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they could hear y'all, whatever y'all was just saying. Shout out
Y'all
to the
get ready. What's good?
Oh yeah.
My bad.
It ain't a hot mic. We know.
Oh, my bad. Y'all professional. And like that, we're back with another Unpack presented to you by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
It doesn't matter how you feel.
All right, fellas, we got another good one. Got a real good one. I heard some of the some of the FBA boys might pull up on us today. We're talking about identity politics, identity politic crisis, maybe. We're gonna we're gonna jump into a couple different things. The cultural aspect of it, the power aspect of it, the solution-based aspect of the current state of Black affairs, and as it pertains to identity politics. But before we get into that, you already know, fire panel. I'm gonna let the guys introduce themselves. Dressing all red, looking like Suge. Is this like a precursor for something? I'm trying to understand what's going on here.
Packing the mail, it's gone.
Nah, no
right.
precursor, no precursor. Yo, what's good, everybody? It's G, host of the G Shit Podcast, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom, and our future, and fuck everything else. Check it out wherever you get your pods. Just search GSHPOD. Hi.
All right. Beside him, he was listening to Freddie Gills, but catching riding with Benny the Butcher. Johnny P in the caddy. Talk to him, brother.
What's going on, man? Glad to be back. Got another good one. Hope the FBA boys pull up on us, man. We done missed them. I think this is one they should, fit right into, and definitely looking forward to another fruitful conversation. So y'all tap into the chat, hit like, subscribe, and y'all catch us here every Wednesday.
All right. So again, y'all know we love to start off with a few icebreakers, I guess you will call it. There has been some news that has dropped over, I guess, like the week and some change. This is some Trump tariff-based stuff. Maybe, I guess it's just been a bunch of Trump tariff, a bunch Trump pardon. Shout out to how you say her name? Ghislaine? Maxwell, yeah, Miss Maxwell, Madam Maxwell, maybe, I don't know. Ooh. But nonetheless, before we get there, we will let's talk about it. Let's talk about these tariffs. There's been a deal done with Japan. There's been a deal done with EU. Does it matter? Did America win? Did America lose? Let's talk about it. I'll push play on this meme first.
Well, the bottom line is this is the biggest trade deal in President Trump's effort to effectively reshape the global trading order. That has been one of his central priorities since taking office in January. He's been issuing many threats of tariffs, but they clearly have been working in terms of bringing other countries, allies, and adversaries alike, in some cases, to the negotiating table. And the latest example was today here in Scotland when the leader of the European Commission, who of course is negotiating for the European Union, she agreed to a 15% across the board tariff. Now that is significantly higher than the 10% tariffs in existence now, but it's much lower than the 30% threat that was coming on Friday and the 50% threat that was made in May. So clearly there has been an instance where the president has been using his threats of higher tariffs as a negotiating tactic. And in this case.
All right.
Hey,
fellas,
that's cool and all.
Let me just read what he's.
My bad.
Now that's
Well,
cool and all. I heard they might even give a little check or something again. But I ain't worried about all that dancing. I'm worried about that list. You can get up here and try to
uh-oh,
shuck and jive all you want, but where the list at?
uh-oh.
That's
John,
cool.
Johnny done turned to
That's cool.
like that.
Uh,
That's you original MAGA right now. And I like this QAnon MAGA.
I'm just asking where's that? I mean,
I like it. I like
that like we heard about the tariffs, like oh
it. Mhm.
cool, but what about the list?
I got you. So I guess we'll get back to the list in a second. Do you have any initial tariff thoughts though, Johnny?
I think
We're gonna
it's
get to the list. We're gonna get to the list. I promise you.
I mean, of course, like Trump's been known to, make good deals. That's nothing brand new. That's nothing that we yeah, I think it's cool. I think I think it balances out. Like there was a major effect, a negative effect the tariffs had in the beginning on the economy. So I think this might balance it out. I think he might save face with it, but at the end of the day, I don't think it really moves the needle as far as like the everyday American.
Gotcha. G, talk to us.
I mean, I think it's a huge win for Trump. When you really look at the reality of what's taking place here, there was a lot of speculation at the beginning about how this was going to cause trade wars and how bad this was for just the global positioning of the United States. And I do think Trump had a good point from the start in terms of like, why don't the U.S. charge more for these companies in other countries to bring their business to American markets to profit, right? So I think that makes sense. And the negotiation tactics, whether it be extreme, but that's just business, yo. Like negotiations get extreme, people say the worst things, and then they walk away and shake hands. And so he clearly was playing the media for negotiation purposes. And at the end of the day, he struck deals in which all of these deals, there's a clear winner and there's a clear person. There's like a clear big dog and clear little dog in all the deals, in my opinion. And so I think that's ultimately
well, let's talk about that a little bit, I guess. We can get to the EU one. I think the Japan one's probably the way more interesting one. And as you said, like we're saying that there's a clear winner, clear loser. I guess I'll ask you first. How do you see that as do you see that as an American win? If so, inside what capacity?
I think there's one thing that's key to be determined about this, and that's the so-called billions of dollars of investment that was promised domestically. And so, how when the BLM stuff was happening, all these corporations pledged all this money to the Black community just to get to this point recently for them to say, you know what, we'll take that back. Even though we made these promises, we never spent the money, and now we don't plan on spending the money. We don't really have details as to what these grand investments are really going to be. Very loose on the details. So I would say the jury is honestly still out in terms of how the actual impact will be, because we don't know how that money will be spent and if it actually will be spent. That said, it's a win if these companies actually invest those billions of dollars, and it's a win if the companies ultimately end up eating the cost versus sending it down to the consumers. There's speculation that we're starting to see the tariffs reflecting some consumer pricing. But, time is going to tell here, say in February, the real impact of a lot of this stuff and where it's trending. So I think it's honestly still too early to tell. But in terms of Trump himself, it's a clear win that if I'm him, I'm sticking my chest out over this, because people thought that everything was going to crash before the end of the year. That really hasn't been the case. The stock markets have rebounded since that initial drop off. Hey man, the market seemed to be favorable based on these recent announcements. The market seemed to favor what's going on.
I guess so. Where I was at inside the conversation, I guess more so what I was going to get at would be, I guess, first, if the actual trade agreement was a win that we had with Japan, and like the actual nuances of it, where there's a lot of stipulation where I think two of the main players of this is like rice and cars, where according to the American, automobile peoples in general, they're saying that we kind of lost inside the car side of things. I have to look up really quickly, kind of like the exact details, but from my understanding, like what the export is and what they're going to consume or some shit. Like I don't even want to kind of ramble off incorrect shit, but I heard from my understanding and what I've been listening to on the rice side, like American rice manufacturers are going to love it, but the automobile makers and like automobiles and the automobile import export, it seems like they don't like they're not favorable of it. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like both Japan and America, and this is what it is. I kind of remember now. I think that it's both a 15% flat tax. This kind of set the precedent for the EU one, but both of them, if I'm not mistaken, is 15% across the board. But there's an issue with the fact of like Americans importing the actual goods. I mean, not the goods, like the shit that deals with making the car, and where it's going to kind of fuck the American automobile maker. But then with Japan, because in essence, they make all this shit there, they don't have to worry about that tax. It's something along those lines of things. Chat, if y'all got a good synopsis for us, let's talk about it. But yeah, so from what I've seen and heard over the past few days about that's not the clear winner. The EU one, though, is different, in which that one kind of gives the feel of like actually really, really dragging. I think that America went from like a 1% to and bumped it up to 15%. And EU is kind of, you know what I mean?
But the thing about the Japan was that I don't think there was any tariff on their automobile industry. And when you just look at the American automobile industry, I mean, I drive a Lexus. A lot of people drive Toyotas. Toyota and Lexus are the highest selling brands in the country. So when you look at, and Toyota is the best enterprise in Japan, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the most valuable company in all of Japan. So they need America's market for them to continue to do what they do, as well as a lot of the other big companies in Japan with the electronics and everything. They need the American market. They weren't paying any tariff. Now they're paying 15%. That's a pretty significant bump for the U.S. compared to what it used to be. Is it the 30% that he was threatening? No, but I don't think he was ever planning to go to 30%. It was a negotiation tactic. So if you couple that 15% tariff that the U.S. is now collecting when they were getting zero, that's pretty significant. And then you on top of that include, I think it was 600 billion promised investment in certain industries domestically here in America. So that's why I'm saying it's like Trump really made these countries kiss the ring to come do business in America. That across the EU, the only thing we haven't really seen yet. I'm curious to see what's up with Canada and China. Those are really the two that I'm kind of waiting for the domino to fall. But people kissing the ring.
Johnny,
I haven't done as much research on it. I will say, like with the car industry thing, it is something where like the industry has been affected. The costs are getting passed down, and you see that in just the day-to-day consumer side of it. It's rebounded a little bit, but I think there is still a wait and see to see, especially like with something like the car stuff. I think with the EU, a lot of that has to do with like our defense, and Trump's been promising like NATO spending and stuff. So I think we had a lot more leverage with the EU to kind of twist their hand to get them to bow down. Where with the Japan side, I think it was just strictly economics, and I think we're still waiting to see how it's going to play out on the American market side of it.
All right, this will be like the quickest version of a pro con that we can give. Let me see if I can kind of pull it up. This is just a chat GPT. Shout out to the chat GPT. He slowly get me onto that, but nonetheless, let me see if I can pull this up. Oh well. Nonetheless, if we're just looking at direct whatchamacallits, pros and cons, as we see right here. And this is more so where I was saying gains, Japanese investment inflows, greater market access, U.S. goods, drawback, faces backlash from the auto sector. And this is more so where I was saying the gains for the automaker is kind of listed at none, but the disadvantage is drawbacks, competing disadvantage, unequal tariff treatment, XYZ. The Japan sector, the gains is reduced import from 25 to 15%, which that's still higher than the pre-tariff norms in which they kind of speak to.
This is where the AI be kind of misleading, because that gain, that 25% is what Trump was threatening. So it really wasn't reduced. It's just it never reached as high as 25%. So it's kind of like contradicting itself with the gain and the drawback.
Gotcha. But yeah, nonetheless, I guess my main thing and where I was kind of pushing to was the idea that I don't know if for like the American consumer or the American company, if there is a clear win outside of like Trump just saying that I was able to get them to settle with 15%. But if the industry is not doing good, nor is the American consumer because of the price of the product is going up, I don't know where the specific win in this regard is.
In theory, if we play it out, in theory,
okay.
if Japanese cars are going to now have a 15% tariff when it used to be 0%, then in theory, Toyota, Nissan, Mazda, and all those cars that are like, Lexus, etc., those are going to be 15% more expensive. In theory, domestically, that should make American cars more attractive, in theory, because the international cars being imported in are going to be more expensive. Where I think the American car company is hurt through this is they don't get access to the Japanese markets the way that these companies get access to the American markets. So they're not having opportunities to expand globally the way that these other car companies are. But I think for consumers, I don't think it hurts. Like if I'm Ford, I don't think my prices are now changing. But see, if they fucked up because they moved their shit out of the United States, so they're in a pickle for different reasons on that too. Yeah,
a lot of
they do their manufacturing outside the U.S.
A lot of the American companies are still facing the tariffs, so it's not even like.
And that's where I think that they're saying, because they have to import the goods just to export the goods, and so it hurts there. But what was Japan's original tariff on America? Because I know they both settled at 15%.
I don't think they would. I don't even think they allowed it. Like I don't even think they allowed U.S. cars. Like it was something extreme. Yeah, I think it was something extreme where they wouldn't even allow certain U.S. cars to be sold over there.
China, I know China.
Yeah,
the EU too. The EU had a cap on the amount of U.S. cars that could be sold over there too. It was like a unfair. It was like a, what's the word I'm looking for? It wasn't reciprocal.
Okay. Well, I'll continue looking it up. The first, nonetheless, like I said, I will say I think that just depending on how things shake out, the EU one looks a lot more favorable. But saying all that to say a couple things. I think G, you was hitting on the idea of like the market actually what is it? Like the hypothetical that everybody was saying. And I think that that's even nuanced in my opinion. In the hypothetical of when Trump drops the tariffs, everything's going to go to shit. And then the idea that he was able to make sure, like it never went to shit. That's kind of like the general conversation or point. I think the interesting part is that with Trump, he never actually dropped the tariffs. And when he did for, what was it, Freedom Day or whatever the shit was, it did go to shit, and then he backed off it real quick.
He walked it back immediately.
And then every time it got close, he'd be like, I'm going to give 30% tariffs or 200% tariffs or XYZ tariffs. And then he never did it. He just said, all right, I'm going to push it back another 3 months. I'm going to push it back another 3 months. So the market never actually had to really adjust or do anything outside of like the general volatility of like the hearsay of the thing. And when he actually did drop the tariffs, it did kind of fuck shit up. So yeah, again, I get the idea of the negotiating tactic, and I see the value in that. But in my opinion, to see to say that, you know what I mean, like he dropped the tariffs and nothing happened. I think that's kind of like the part I would say isn't necessarily true. All right, fellas, I guess that's that. Johnny, I'm gonna toss to you, and you have some Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell take that you want to get off, or talk to me, brother.
No, I just think, yeah, I just want to know where to list it. It's funny how like that should be, it was all in the mix last week, and then now we talking about China and the EU, and now we talking about, but like that list still, that list magic. It just pop up and then disappear when they want it to, and shit get boring. They'll bring it back up and shit, then they'll take it away. So I just, don't want people to like forget, or because the American media can be very fickle and they can just drop a little nugget in front of us, and we'll forget about stuff that people actually really care. The thing that's actually like, having a wedge between the MAGA party and could actually show us something. They just want to, just kind of brush over it. So I think it's very important to, hold these people accountable no matter what side they're on.
Gotcha. I guess where I can throw the conversation a little bit. There has been the recent developments. We talked about it a little bit on To Be Fair, but there's been even more developing news as it pertains to Trump, Ghislaine, and the angle that seemingly is becoming possibly taken, where she's saying, I am willing to what's the word? Step in front of Congress, testify in front of Congress, but I have my list of demands, and if these are met, I'm willing to testify in front of Congress. A part of this, is either the outcome of her appeal and or a pardon. She's looking for immunity. She has a bunch of different little things on her list that she's saying that she wants to get. Then on the other side, you do have the whole thing where Trump keeps hinting at what he can do. He said, like, he's doing the Trump thing. He's like, I ain't really thought about it, but I could pardon her. I'm allowed to do it. And so he said that at like one or two different times. And so like that's a recent development. There's also the interesting, it's kind of like Trump putting his foot in his mouth inside a weird way. As it pertained to like him speaking about why him and Jeffrey Epstein stopped working together and why he kicked him out of his resort and the whole thing. Like everybody thought that he kicked him out, and even MAGA thought that he kicked him out because of he was doing creepy shit with like minors or something like that. And that was the narrative that was running, in which Trump just came out inside the interview was like, nah, he was just stealing my masseuses. And then I think it was like an underage masseuse. And that was like the weird, I'm like, wait, like, why are you saying this right now? Like all you had to do was just run with the lie that they had already been telling you, but me had been telling for you. But he pretty much came out and was like, actually, he was poaching my people, and I ain't fuck with that. He did it twice. And so I had to get him up out of that.
But that's why we gotta hold him to like we can't let motherfuckers get off, because it's like he just admitted it. He just told you, and it's like I done been to a lot of parties. I done, hung out with a lot of people. I ain't never, ain't nobody gonna come back and be like, hey, that party Johnny was at, it was some weird like it ain't never happened. I don't put myself in them situations around them kind of people. So it's like, if you are,
let me ask you this, Johnny.
What up?
Have you ever been at a party where somebody was trying to sell like a machine gun or like a
that's a different type. We talking about the military industrial complex.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Totally different. Yeah,
those different kind of parties. Okay,
that's them South Carolina parties.
It's like an arms dealer party. That's it. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, war dogs. Yeah, that was war dogs.
Okay.
That's a different conspiracy, but. But you just gotta be careful.
War shit, like, not no freaky shit. Strong arm shit, not no freaky.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
Strong arm, not no little freaky arm. But
what about if you like asking the ladies if they want to buy machine guns and shit? Is that like freaky war shit?
Nah, it's not freaky. It's warrior class all the way through. You gotta make sure your women warrior class too if you're gonna get up out of here. That's all that is. But
Okay.
but to go back to Trump, it's just you gotta watch the company you keep, especially, at this level. And as the American, as American society, we owe it to ourselves to like
Mhm.
hold these motherfuckers accountable, and when we can see the lie, not let them talk to us like we stupid, not let them just swipe this shit under the rug. We need to be asking questions and really press this issue, especially when we see a crack in the armor. We can see the lie. You can see, ooh, we the gotcha moment. We're getting there, starting to unravel, and it'd be crazy to kind of just let up on them and not apply even more pressure at this point.
Gotcha. G, talk to us.
I don't necessarily disagree with Johnny. I just don't. I like somebody said it in the chat. Like it's too many people involved that don't want this to come to the light of day. So,
That's no excuse not to. Like, if it's all a terrible bunch of terrible people running the country, like,
I'm not saying it's an excuse, and I also don't think that revealing the list would change the fact it's a bunch of terrible people running the country. Like it'll get revealed. Even if it gets revealed, like I just don't know what would even, it's like you can try to cancel people, but like with this list, the type of people on this list that could possibly come out of this list, like I just don't even know. Like I just don't even think this can see the light of day. Like you said, like this lady, if she makes it alive here in another year or two, I don't, maybe she got some grand deal with the pardon or something. I don't know, but I think it's way too many people involved to make sure that this just does not become public.
but no, well, why? Like why? Like it's this is what America wants. Like I think you can ask people on both sides. Like if you asked America, should we release? This probably the one thing 80% of people agree on. As Americans, I think it's people on both sides and people just good people that just think and like. I know it's an uphill battle and it's tough, but like the releasing the names, at least knowing and calling them out and having them put the public shame.
But we know some of
With
the names.
with the public shame though, like that's the reason we put people on lists after they do stuff. It's that public shame, and it's like you wouldn't want your name on that list. You wouldn't want that smutting. That's like do a lot to damage your reputation, your
So
credibility.
let me ask you this: what about the people who's already documented in pictures, in manifests, going back and forth to that island multiple times? Is that not enough of a list? Like, what more of a list do you need?
Well, I think that they haven't released that thing yet.
But we've seen photos of
we got
events
we got a little
on
bit, we got
Epstein Island,
glimpses
and we
into
mean
it.
like
I know we've seen the Prince Harry thing, but who else have we seen? I don't know if there's any other photos of people on Epstein Island outside of Prince Andrew or whatever his name is.
Well, how do they know all these people have been to the island?
Well, I know Trump.
Well, that's why it's like completely like that's why they're wanting the list to come. So what they do have is like the domestic flight plane list where Bill Clinton has flown a bunch of times, Donald Trump, XYZ. This is different. But this is different, and this is where like even in that the cover there that they're using is that billionaires they fly and hop on each other planes all the time. This is common procedure, and it's XYZ, where it doesn't explicitly implicate in the same way that if they have you going to that island, is like it was a freaky boy island. So like that's what was happening. They could completely implicate you in it, where there's room to wiggle, and that's where everybody's wiggling from. Whether it's Bill Clinton to Donald Trump to XYZ, it's like, oh no, I ain't really fuck with him, but I had to get somewhere, so I hopped on the plane. Or we were just cool and cordial, wasn't nothing freaky. I mean, this was prior to 2005, so we didn't do anything or something like that. And that's where all the billionaires are still able to, or they're attempting to hedge their bets.
Man, just drop the tapes, man. We like somebody because like it's too easy, bro. It's like we up in like, but that means there's somebody, there's people like, and at this point, that means there's too many people that's like taking up for this bad behavior.
Because too many people are bad, Johnny. It's too many bad people that want to make sure they can keep being bad.
Man, we talking about a different level of bad. We ain't talking about like stealing out of Walmart. We talking about like there's levels to like even like bad behavior. What we talking about?
Hey,
Like
man,
this, like we
they
just
say
calling.
it's inherently wicked down here. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm just saying we got to get them because and like I said, nothing might happen. They might be like, so what? And then like that's on them. That's on the rest of the world. But at least it's out there. At least the shame is on them. And like at least it has to be. You know, if we can't put them in jail, what other punishment can we give them except shame? Just to make them feel like pieces of shit. Like what other punishment? If you can't take their money, we can't put them in jail like this. That's the worst type of punishment. And I think we should do it. Find a way to get it done.
Gotcha. All right. I guess we can do positive and negative things in FBA news this week. What do y'all want to start with? Do we want to start positive or want to end positive?
Let's start with the negative and end with the positive.
Okay. Well, nonetheless, New York, they did have a I guess what you would classify as a mass shooter. And unfortunately, he happened to be one of the good guys. So nonetheless, let's listen to Mayor Adams and what he had to say about it, and we kind of talk a little bit.
He did have a note on him. The note alluded to that he felt he had CTE, a known brain injury for those who participate in contact sports. He appeared to have blamed the NFL for his injury. The NFL headquarters is located in the building at 345 Park Avenue.
Oh, shit. I didn't know that part.
From our preliminary investigation, he took the wrong elevator bank up to the NFL headquarters. Instead, it took him to Rudin Management, and that is where he carried out additional shootings and took the lives of additional employees.
Damn. Gee, I guess I'll let you lead this one off. Yeah, talk to us, brother.
I just think like this is when the vigilante justice goes wrong. You see, this is why it's like we can't. This is why we got to be careful to champion the Luigis of the world, because like this stuff is like one, even if this dude did blame the NFL, the people who work in the NFL front office are the least responsible for your CTE, my brother. Like I'm telling you, just off the rip, like the front office versus your actual coaches and your actual franchise who injects you with all this medicine and makes you play through injuries and things like that. Like that's not the front office. Those are the individual franchises and the coaches and things like that. So, I just think it's a unfortunate misplacement of anger, and it's just it's sad that he went in there to carry out a mission and didn't even hit the right target. Like, what kind of soldier is this supposed to be? That's just terrible.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't even know if he made it to the NFL, but I will say this.
And he he didn't make it to the NFL too. That's kind of like
that's even crazier. Yeah.
But that's what I was gonna say, because I grew up in a football, heavy city, and like a lot of time the CTE and stuff, it's before you get to the league. It's like you can't even, like, it's hard to blame like the NFL when it's an accumulative thing. So it's like
that's true too.
When growing up, we had headhunter stickers. You got somebody block off, they put a sticker on your head. That's what you wanted. And so like that's the culture we grew up in playing football, and so that's what causes CTE, not the NFL or but it's the cumulative just hits and just repetitive blows to your brain. Pause. But it's just that's what does it. And I've actually but with the CTE, I do try to give grace, because I've known people that dealt with it, and it is a not only like a mental disorder, it is a physical disease to the brain that affects your like.
Oh yeah, and that's bad. If you
so it's like
if you met somebody with it,
it's hard to blame these people. A lot of them, they end up doing a lot of things, and it's they're terrible things. You don't want to excuse it, but there's like a real, true, like actual disease that is causing a lot of the stuff when you see it, when it's CTE based, and you can study a lot of the people's brains. The Aaron Hernandez, one of my best friends growing up, Philip Adams, they've studied these people's brains after they've done stuff, and like there's brain degeneration that goes on with CTE. So it's hard to,
Yeah,
really, blame these people. It's unfortunate. They need to, do a better level at the middle school, high school level of protecting these players, especially from like the, repetitive, hits. But yeah, it's just an unfortunate thing. Hey,
all right. So so let's get to the Steve comment. Then I'll give my take. Not to make light of it. I'll let you respond. He said, Johnny, that's your type of soldier. That's Johnny type of soldier.
Nah, because I just said like he missed the mark. Like he ain't we.
Oh, precision is important.
I mean, of course, like you don't get the black ops like that. You don't make it. You don't graduate. But I mean, not to make light of it, but that's not like and the NFL's not the people we going after. Like that's not the thing.
Great. All right.
Not to make light of it, but yeah.
So I guess a couple points that you hit on. One, hey, I would say I'm definitely happy that my son didn't want to play football. He played he played flag when he was like maybe like 6, 7, and he had he played maybe half a year in 4th or 5th grade like that, but he didn't really care. He liked the hoop, and like. For me, this was kind of like around when some of the information was coming out. So I already was kind of hesitant, and I never really was pushing him to necessarily like play, if that makes sense, just because of a lot of the CTE and things like that kind of goes along with it. Where, like, to Johnny's point, when you're growing up, if you play football, then like you remember, like, this is even like unprovoked by the adults. I mean, we used to go down, get to practice 20, 30 minutes early, and everybody put their helmets on, and you trying to go heads up. I don't know how nobody didn't break their neck, and like we probably just had bad aim as kids, because I remember all we used to want to do is like you lay on your back, you put your somebody will say go, you're gonna get it as fast as you can, and then run them like this at each other. And whoever stayed up, like, you won, right? This wasn't like you wasn't even trying to like tackle or do no shit like that. It was just like really just all brain injury. Just let's see how hard we can hit each other.
I mean, and like, AQ, if you was really doing it, that's a leverage game. You don't really go head to head. You're supposed to get your shoulder and go up under the guy.
All right, no, but like, well, you're talking about.
You don't just go helmet to helmet. That's insane.
Again, like you're talking about something else. Like what you're talking about is like when somebody's supposed to have the ball and then you go heads up. But I remember, like, we used to just go heads up and just hit each other like that and see who won. Like, it was like on some Ram shit. But saying all that to say, like, of all the American sports, the biggest and realest gladiator sport is football. And with that, like, there's the tough part is that there's minimum reward. I mean, well, it's a bigger pool of people that quote unquote get rich for a certain amount of time. And like the barrier of entry is a little bit lower when it comes down to skill set, because like really, if you just really fast or really strong, right now they're giving scholarships out for ATHs, which just means athletes. And like, so it gives options and opportunities. But again, now this is the sport with the least amount of guaranteed money. And then when you go comparative to baseball and basketball, like you're getting chump change for the risk that you're getting, which is, like I said, it's a gladiator sport. You're almost pretty much, unless maybe you're a quarterback that has a really good line, like you're risking your life. Like we've seen what Tua look like when he get hit hard enough.
And even outside of CTE, like these dudes like break legs and almost get amputations. You saw the Hamlin a couple years ago.
You seen Dion
it's outside of CTE. CTE bad enough, but it's a lot of other things that go with the football.
Oh no, Tua, like he on his third seizure or some shit like that.
He got mad concussions. Like I don't even know why Tua's still playing. Honestly,
Tua
like
was up there throwing GD up.
He was on a short leash. He was on a short leash even coming into the league. So yeah, that's crazy.
But saying all that to say is like it's also like it's really real, like it's a real condition. Like I had I worked with when I was working in the school system, a guy that was maybe he was like a 7-8 year pro. He was a tight end, and with him, he was like a teacher assistant, and he worked with the special needs group of kids or whatever. So like inside that classroom, you have the teacher and you got two assistants. And the thing with him is that he would have lapses of not knowing what the fuck he did. And again, like this is a 6'6", like close to 300-pound, like ex NFL player. And he would have lapses where he had no idea what he was doing, but during those lapses when he had no idea what he was doing, he was like extremely aggressive and abrasive. He was in a room with two women. So like with these women, pretty much like saying what he would do, what he, you know what I mean? Like whether it was threatening him inside multiple manners to like, of course he ended up getting fired, but then you kind of like,
That's not
Yo,
funny.
I ain't even gonna laugh, but
That's not funny.
right.
That's not funny, bro.
this thing ain't no good, man. I can't help it, man. I didn't mean to laugh, man.
Yeah,
That's not funny, man. That's not funny, man. It's not funny.
Gee,
G crazy, yeah. Yeah, G
It's
crazy.
fucked up, man. It's fucked up. Yo, it's so fucked up.
you can't sit beside boy.
Yeah,
You can't sit
yeah, you
beside
can't.
G in class, bro.
Not at all. Not at all. But yeah, nonetheless, like I said, CTE is definitely like it's definitely real. And it goes past like things that a person can actually control and yeah.
Nah, but I do say that because it, you know, not to make light of it because you know we
Yeah.
boys can make jokes, but it is something that's like it's actually affected somebody really close to my family, one of my friends growing up, and
Mhm.
I could see that you know knowing the type of person he was, his
Mhm.
whole life, the type of family, like I just know who he was, and then saw what the CTE turned him into. I know it's not like you know it's a real disease, and you almost can't even blame these people when you look at their brains, you know, post, you know, after the fact, and it's they're so riddled with holes and just degraded so much. So we got to figure out a way to do that. You know, football one of my favorite sports, but it's this is an unfortunate reality of football and something they got to get figured out because it's you know you seeing this actually affecting society.
Man, take it back to 1915, 1920. Put them little soft pads on the head.
Them leather helmets.
And yeah, them little leather helmets, take off the pads and watch how suddenly it becomes so less violent.
I mean, you know, rugby to compare is not quite as brutal, but I don't think you get the same volume of you know, head injuries that you do in
Well, you
rugby.
protect your body more, like in rugby,
Yeah.
like they tackling, but like it's like what I said with the football shit. In rugby, they going shoulder first. They
Yeah.
gonna go side to side. They ain't just going head, you know, just putting their neck out there to do that. So yeah, I think that
Yeah, projectile missile style.
the game I would not watch it, but it'd be safer.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I guess we can get off. We're not necessarily a football podcast, but yeah, like I said, like when you're younger, like you're so like desensitized to what you're actually doing. Where yeah, like it when you're younger, like you look at hurting somebody as like that was a thing, and like so you're trying to hit a person so hard, like if you knew the cheat codes, like you know how you could really rock somebody that's kind of like not even necessarily known. Like if you want kickoff return, all you gotta do is catch somebody right here on the side,
Blind
and
side.
you flipping somebody, guaranteed. And back in the day,
feet off the ground.
feet off the ground, and which like in hindsight, the shit's crazy. Same way, like what I loved about the NFL and why it's hard for me to watch it now. Like I love the violence of it. Like I used to get mad when they'll call the unnecessary roughnesses and shit like that. I love when receiver went across the middle and you see them spin like this. And as an adult, once like you humanize, you like, God damn.
It hurts
Right.
to watch sometimes. Like every time I'd love to watch it, but there be certain plays where I go, ooh. Like when they crunch and they, you know, they go through that running back, go down through the middle, meet the linebacker, meet them. That hurts. Like there ain't no way to go around it. That's just physical. And knowing what I know, and the older I get, the more I can feel my body. That shit hurts to watch.
And I guess before we get off of this, we didn't necessarily address the idea of outside of like him being a shooter with CTE. This might be, is this the first that at least that I can recall of a black person being a mass shooter and a mass shooter inside this in this way, where they ran in somewhere and they just shot the spot up inside like go ahead, Johnny, you got one.
No, you had one. It was one like in Dallas or something. Like right after BLM, the guy, he was shooting a bunch of like a couple cops, and then there was one like a little bit after.
But that's different. I think like shooting at cops is a little different in comparison to doing more so like classic mass shooter style, where you're shooting and killing random people in a public place that anybody could be at. In comparison, like having a shootout with a cop is, in my opinion, it's a little different.
It's not one, but it was one black dude. He was like in a car. Like I remember, it was a couple years ago, but he was loose somewhere. Because these are only two that I remember outside of that. I forgot his name, but they had a lookout for him. Everybody was scared. I forgot where it happened, but there's been one other case, but it was I don't know who he was targeting, or if he had like if he was just doing random people, if he had like specific targets. But it was a couple years ago. I can look it up.
Well, yeah, I was trying to get an FBA some credit. Johnny just ran down 5 of them for us.
We don't know where they from though.
Yeah, he might have been.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Yeah, we don't know where they from.
Shout out Chuck said, I do think that the slap competitions is the wildest shit ever. I'm not even.
Slap shit is fire. I ain't gonna lie to you. I be watching those.
Like it's just
the DC shooter was not FBA. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Nonetheless, like I said, we'll kind of go adjacent to the topic. This would be something that I've seen heralded as some positive when it comes down to FBAs in, I guess what we would say like this week. I'll push play. This is a lady from Charlotte, North Carolina, and she's
Charlotte's
speaking.
home.
And I'll just push play.
And up behind another group of people if you ask me to line up behind another group of people to raise awareness about their plight, I unapologetically say no. I am ADOS, American descendants of slaves. I am a Black American, and I am an American. I'm going to present my case in support of House Bill 318, as it is time for my unapologetic truth to be shared with all of you. First, as a people, we need to recognize that it's not just the numbers that matter, but also where the immigrants come from and the culture they bring with them to another country. As the social scientists report, all cultures are not equal. Some immigrants come and believe they can function in isolation, refusing to adapt. They have come to our country for many reasons, but I suggest they must assimilate, adapt to the culture of the country they wish to live in. No country is going to allow people to come in and not acknowledge its constitution, legal systems, and laws. They will not tolerate it. As a country, the United States has been more tolerant than most other countries. Other countries are making it much more difficult to get citizenship. We have been naive. We have been exploited and abused by the different tactics to gain citizenship in America. It's time.
Y'all want to keep going, or do y'all kind of get the gist of it?
Yeah.
All right. So, House Bill 318 in North Carolina is also known as the Criminal Illegal Alien Enforcement Act, which strengthens law enforcement collaboration with immigration, customs, and enforcement, aka ICE. I actually had an interest. Never mind. We'll get to that later. So, yeah, G, or Johnny, we can start with you. What is your thoughts on this?
I mean, she's trying to get them like she's upholding this is in support of the immigration bill.
Yes, I think that this allows. Let me see if I can read a little bit more. It strengthens local law enforcement cooperation with ICE by holding individuals longer or detaining requests and notifying ICE before releasing individuals who are subject to a detainer. Yeah, so I guess in essence, if they do some, it sounds like it kind of like it's pushing back against like sanctuary city shit. And if they're able to detain somebody that is illegal, then they'll pretty much hold them till ICE comes. That's what it seems like. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I mean, that's not.
Is
really,
that a fair representation? Just to make sure.
I think it allows like the county sheriffs to question people about citizenship and then detain them for up to 48 hours if they're not a citizen.
And they have to report them to ICE.
Yeah, and they
But before
so basically
go,
like it gives sheriffs the right to be like, hold up, like are you a citizen? And they'd be like, oh, let me run them papers, hold you for 48 hours, and then
so in essence to profile.
yeah, and to get them to like, you know, give them time to make their case to kick them out. I mean, as the FBA, like I guess like I don't know, I guess if that's what y'all want to do, it's cool, but I don't think that necessarily like under the guise of being like ADOS or FBA, I don't see how that like particularly.
It's not specifically. I don't think it's like an impact as much to, and really honestly, like most black people, as much as like this is primarily something that's going to impact Hispanics
for sure.
Yeah, like that's in essence, it allows for racial profiling of Hispanics
against Hispanics.
Yeah, it allow for like in essence like the stop and frisk, the racial profiling of Hispanics, to where if you look like you like could be an immigrant, which is likely to like if you look Hispanic, I can check your papers. Are you here legally? This is like the whole, in essence, pull up to the Home Depot, but now the police can pull up there too, grab them, hold them for 2 years.
I don't personally agree with you know, stop and frisk. That's not like something and discrimination. That's not like, you know, I just, you know, as a black man in America, that's something I just don't believe in and believe is right. Now, as the FBA, you know, I don't want to go against the group, you know, whatever, you know, if they believe in it and they rock, you know, as an FBA, I don't necessarily agree with it. But if there's a
what are you saying right now, Johnny?
I'm saying I don't believe in you know, racial profiling and stop and frisk, but
if the collective FBA who like you.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll get. I guess you. All right, here we go. Okay.
The group. Whatever they say, go.
Damn. Okay. All right. Shout out Group Think Johnny. I like it. Where were we at? Yeah. Nonetheless, it does sound like Chuck said it. Stop and frisk for immigrants. Again, I don't know how much this is going to like explicitly impact black immigrants as much. Yeah.
Some clarity on the context, right? So essentially, if you are locked up and facing like a felony or a misdemeanor, now, so basically what this bill is saying, it will require the sheriffs in the jail to determine immigration or residency status, which is something they don't have to determine right now if you get locked up.
Okay, and it's like peeling back the sanctuary city shit.
Right.
Or even, but even beyond sanctuary city, like in anywhere, like if you get locked up, they want to make it a standard in North Carolina to where if you end up getting locked up, they're going to run you for citizenship. If for whatever reason they can't determine, they're going to take your prints and send your shit to ICE, like off the rip. And then the other piece to it is if ICE issues some sort of warrant or something like that, it will require these people to show up in front of a judge, and a judge would have the right to detain them for up to 48 hours to handle whatever ICE is doing or some shit like that. But I don't think it's like
ICE would only issue a warrant for somebody that's illegal, though, right?
You would think. I
don't think that's always the case. From I think there's been. Well, I don't know if because they've rounded up people.
My bad. Like they not necessarily illegal, but they will issue warrants for immigrants. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Right. They don't necessarily have to be illegal. All right, I got you. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's a Democratic
representative with this position, not a Republican. And so I think
Well, I think we talked about. Oh my, go ahead.
I just think that's an interesting part of this, because typically this is a Republican talking point, but this is a Democrat and one of the Democrats' most influential figures, a Black woman, having this type of talk in front of her constituents or in front of her peers in North Carolina. So I think that's something that stands out to me personally.
Gotcha. And I guess like above anything, I would say that it's definitely brave, because she does talk about it further along in that clip where she's saying like, judge me if you want, castigate me if you want. Like I done been called every single name for like taking this stance, but because of how I feel and like the ADOS ex, like she ran down the whole thing. Like my company, not company, but my people building the country, like I feel that I have the right to make this statement, and it doesn't matter how you feel. If you think that it's politically, like she ran down like a whole diatribe of why she's pushing back against what you would say is like a natural Democrat and Democratic, a natural Democrat talking
left liberal, technically.
Left liberal, yeah.
No, I mean I think it's it take balls to get up there and say that. I will say that it takes some. Yeah.
Did y'all know who she was? Yeah. Did y'all vote for her?
No, I don't know. I don't know, Big Auntie.
Word.
I don't know. Yeah, that might be Great Auntie right there. She looked like she was a great auntie.
Yeah, she's somebody's grandma, no question.
Shout out to the family. I was down in South Carolina with bad service and a whole lot of heat down there with the peoples, with the Garys. We Garys down there.
She looked like she was in a traditional relationship for a while.
Who, Shorty? I don't know. Nah. They get up in front of Congress, not Congress, but in front of City Hall. Yeah, she was not being submissive. She looked a little bit more like a gynocrat.
Oh, shout out to the
FBI. All right. I guess now that it probably makes sense to start segueing our way into the main topic. Chad, I'm about to drop the call-in link momentarily. Because again, just to get some more diverse opinions and just opinions and thoughts on it. But I think it's only right to approach the conversation about identity politics and identity with a couple things that are happening inside Caucasian news this week. I guess we can start with this first one, and then we'll start with this one right here, and we could play Is It Racist? This week, what is her name? Sydney Sweeney. And can y'all hear me?
Who is Sydney Sweeney?
If you're a fan of Euphoria, she was on there. She's kind of like one of those
young up and coming white actress.
Yeah. I'm sure in a second you'll see what she's most known for, but I'll ask the question: is it racist? This has came across and become like a hot button topic this week.
We couldn't hear her talk.
Oh, y'all couldn't hear that? Oh, damn. Let me share and reshare.
Her, boy, right. I don't know. You didn't hear her say nothing, right, Johnny?
Nah, I ain't hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and let me get y'all that.
I know Johnny already like what he see.
All right. Johnny, that was low hanging fruit. That's like a layup right there. That's a fast break layup.
I mean, I'll take it. You know, I like all women, so if it's a woman, I might like it.
Okay. You might like it. Could y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, bet. Let's start it over.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes. Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
I think the other
Sydney
are
Sweeney.
kind of
Me,
memeish.
and I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Yeah, I think the rest of them are memey, but it's that first one that has kind of been the hot button conversation inside a couple different places where there's the initial appeal of heredity and what that means to, what good genes means. And then, the fact that she is blonde hair, blue eyes, my genes are blue. There's, been some correlation to the whole Hitler Aryan race thing. And it's become quite a conversation. I'll play just that beginning part one more time and I'll ask y'all again. Is it racist?
She's got a good voice.
Get out of there.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very genes.
I think this would be more offensive to like brunette like white people and like redheads. Like I don't feel no offense to like she got great. I mean, I don't think it's racist. I mean, this I think cool like play on the words. Good genes and they're like genes. I get the marketing tactic, but I don't think it's like the most racist thing in the world. Like I mean, come on, people. Like I mean, we were worried about a gene commercial.
Yeah, I might have to agree with you, Johnny. I think it is a bit of a overreaction and like a stretch. This is almost similar to like Kendrick fans after a Drake diss drop, where they start piecing together bars that's like out of this world, where it's like you didn't even know he meant that he was talking about the Anunnaki when he said it's like now we reaching, like you said, for American Eagle and Sydney Sweeney as like the statement for eugenics. Like I don't even think American Eagle is even doing that well as a company, honestly. Like that's why they're swinging for the fences with this marketing campaign, because I don't even think their company's doing that well, if we're being honest. So I can't say this is that crazy.
And I mean, no offense, but if white people want to talk about genes, all you gotta do is put a little bit of black in there, and you see what happened to it. So I mean, it ain't like it's like I mean, genes like it's just I don't know. As a black man, and I'm not worried about it. I think my genes are pretty strong, and I think that everybody knows that.
The most offensive commercial I ever saw was the one that never got released, thankfully, with Mary J singing about that chicken for Burger King. That was one of the worst commercials ever. But they never released it, or they didn't release it publicly. It did leak. I don't know if y'all remember that joint, but it was terrible.
I think I do. Yeah. She had a wild one. Like I said, the Jerry Rice spinning chicken helmet was a wild one too. Like it definitely was a wild one. All right, so y'all said not racist. Okay. All right. So I guess as not
racist, it's just pro-white.
FWA. As we start segueing our way into the conversation, as we speak about identity politics, this has been something that has came across the news in this past week that kind of aligns with that. It's a little interesting. I'll let it get y'all initial take on this.
We have some news right now. Heads up. If you live in Missouri, a whites-only group called Return to the Land is trying to expand and build a whites-only community in Missouri. Right now, its base is in northern Arkansas, but soon it's going to try to expand to an area near Springfield, Missouri, according to The Hill. In their community, members are evaluated based on European ancestry. You have to be white. Jews are not allowed in the community as well. They currently have about 160 acres of land in northern Arkansas. And now they want to expand just outside of Springfield, Missouri, and soon to all 50 states in the United States. The co-founder of the group said, quote, "We want to ensure that white Americans who value their ancestry will have the ability to live among like-minded people in the future if they choose to do so, regardless of demographic changes." This is real, and it's happening right now in the United States of America. And not enough people are talking about it, so I will. Spread the word so more people know, especially folks living near Springfield, Missouri. Follow along for all the news you need to know about, and I'll do a full breakdown of this news on my Substack shortly, linked in bio, so subscribe for free.
All right, fellas.
Okay, I think this one might be racist.
Okay.
I think this one might
This might have hit
qualify.
the threshold.
This my cup of tea though. This my type of racism right here. I like this. I like this.
I think I don't know if it should be allowed, but like, cause like I mean, if they got the right to, like, I mean, I don't think there's like, I think legally they are finding a way to do it.
Mhm.
I don't think we're in a political climate where like no federal jury, no federal government gonna come in and stop them from doing what the fuck they want to do. So I mean, like I think they better get it off. Whether it's racist or what can we do to stop it, I think that's another thing. But I think it is a little bit racist, and I think we're in a political climate where something like that they'll easily be able to get away with it. So I don't think we have no political way to stop it. Maybe we find I don't know, but yeah, I think it is racist, and I think they're gonna find a way to do it too.
G, talk to us.
I'm with it. Like, I wish we did it more. I wish we had folks in our community who was thinking on this type of time of, let's get some private land, let's build it up, and let's make sure we got communities for our people. Like, if the model works, thank you for showing niggas how to do it, because I think this is something that as a community we should be doing more of, buying private land, making sure we run who comes or who's allowed and who's able to stay. Like, this to me is the sort of stuff that as a community we should be doing for ourselves. Is it quote unquote racist that they're doing it? Like, I get that it's racist because they're not letting other people in, but it's like, look, they want to stick to what they want to stick to, as long as they're not hurting other people. Like, my thing is like, if your racism is just a matter of like your personal opinions and tastes and preferences, and you don't actually like get on horses and burn people's shit and try to threaten people and all that other type of shit, then I think you can be as racist as you want in your home. Like, I really don't care what you think about and what you care about in your own home, as long as you don't bring that shit outside trying to threaten and hurt other people. So if the community is not doing that, then I don't see any issue with them wanting to have a like-minded community and, trying to keep that like how it is, because I would want to try and do the same if I had the resources and community of folks who was down to do it.
But I guess the only thing is, like, once, like, what stops it from like annexing, or like, what stops that community from growing like the power, and like what checks and balances do you have? What about when they create their own police and they do all of that, and then they start absorbing the land around them, and then like trying to kick people out? I'm saying, like, there should, I get it, like we should be able to do it, and I think if it's going to be allowed, I think there's been checks and balances when black people have done it, and in our communities you can look and you can see the receipts and what's happened. And I think if that's done to our community,
You said put them at the bottom of a pond or run a freeway through it. Bomb them.
I mean, if it's for the good of the community, I mean, whatever, build a park on that motherfucker. Do whatever you want to do. It's a bunch of
at the bottom of Lake Norman.
Yeah, what's the one down there? Lake Lanier. It's a bunch of them down there. So I mean, if they gonna put checks and balances on ours, I think it should be checks and balances on theirs. And I think if they're allowed to do it, I think we should go ahead and push through, and like you say, copy the model.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm a lane. We're probably closer to where Johnny's at. In my opinion, I think that like it's such a slippery slope because of like what that could mean if this becomes like a nationwide and a US wide, and then we look at like the concentration of resources in America. And like we already have like a suburban versus inner city problem when we look at like the quality of education, when we look at the quality of resources that goes to everything from water and, you know what I mean? Yeah, like whatever resource that you really want to talk about. And then imagine it being to where you have now like the revision of whites only town spaces. I'm sure it'll be like whites only counties, then whites only states almost. And where I could only but imagine it then becoming like a high concentration of like wealth and resources that are funneled and stricken there. And then like it becoming almost like, I only see this working inside like a very dystopian way for minorities and black people, especially, where
there has to be a tax on it.
Like it sounds good.
Y'all think these are rich whites, huh?
I don't. Well, if you're starting a town, you got some money for sure.
They got some kind of resource.
But what I would say is that like if this takes off and becomes like a big thing, all the rich whites are going to go there. Like we can't talk about like this global idea of white supremacy. No, they said all 50 states, and they're trying like so. It's not about it going to Missouri. It's the idea of if you believe in the power of global white supremacy, if you believe in white supremacy in America, imagine now them being able to have their own literal ethno states, and then be able to concentrate and not have to include in general. Like I don't see how like outside of a pipe dream for black people, like this could be sold as like something that'll hurt us more than help us.
But here's the scary part. Think about like they doing that in Missouri. What about when they come to Charlotte and they take over Balance?
They wouldn't come to Charlotte. They wouldn't go to Charlotte.
They take over.
They wouldn't go to Charlotte.
Like, bro,
why wouldn't they?
Because they don't want to be around y'all niggas. They go into places where niggas ain't even at. Like this is what I'm saying.
But in Valentine, there's not a lot of black people already. Like what if they go to they go to Elizabeth in uptown Charlotte or Dilworth and these neighborhoods that are already super low concentration of black people.
Yes,
but that's not what's happening. But that's not what's happened. That's not what's happening though.
No, but
what's actually taking place.
But we're predicting now for the like the meme talks about 50 states. He said that they have a plan to expand to I forget Ohio, and then all 50 states. I could just only but imagine like there is already like hyper segregated.
They're gonna take some good land at some point. They're gonna start taking some.
They are in Arkansas. They're in Arkansas, and they're planning this to do their second settlement in Missouri. That's what it is right now.
And what did they say the plan was? If we're talking about like the what ifs of this, what did they say the plan was? It was to spread to all 50, right?
I don't know what the grand plan is.
They just said it in the meme.
They said they not trying to stop it, Missouri.
He said like the plan is to spread to all 50.
But y'all act like again, they're in these rural ass towns where niggas aren't living. Nobody's
right now, but that's like the noun part of it.
So you think niggas are moving to Springfield?
I don't like you keep intentionally. But why do you keep intentionally doing that? Like you keep moving it from like where it's at now to where like if they're saying they're going to spread to all 50 spaces, and then again like we're saying like this became a popular idea of everybody having their own
color. They're not going to go to where there's people of color.
They don't have to. Like there's mad spaces and places in Charlotte. Like you can go to what's the spot over there about I'm about to say Dilworth where it's like 95% white already. It's not like this is like a crazy idea. If now we're making it acceptable to where people are going.
City with too many black people, in my opinion. I don't even think they would
all the black people are inside like concentrated areas
where there's no black people. Like you go to South Park, there's not a lot of black people that live over
at
there.
all.
Y'all can't compare the amount of black people in Charlotte to the amount of black people in this place in Missouri. It's not even comparable.
But why would we be comparing it if we're broadcasting to what they're saying they want to do in the future? Like you keep going around into that same bubble where if they're saying this is what they want to do, and we're predicting
y'all are saying they would move to a city that has a significant black population, and I'm saying they wouldn't.
No, what we're saying is like eventually they would, not like
I'm saying I don't think they would. I don't think they would.
Why? So you think that their plan is to spread to all 50 states and then just stay rural?
To stay to themselves. That's the whole. They said that.
No. They want to isolate to where all white people can have a space where they don't have to integrate.
If they
for
could take over a
themselves.
city and kick out all the black people, they would. Like if
They-
they
but
could
they
take over St.
can't.
Louis, but they would. Like
They
and the thing is,
can't.
like, and if they
But by that metric, black people can't do it because like how you're framing it and why you're saying that it would be good for it to happen for black people, it doesn't make sense because
They're
of like
buying private land. They're buying private land.
Okay.
so would it
Like
work for
they're
black people?
they're not moving into the apartment complex. They're buying private land and building communities. There's nobody living in these places.
Right. And
But then what about when they
the
grow?
goal is expansion.
Like cities
Into
grow.
private land, not into current cities. Like
But you know,
their
Charlotte
model.
started out small, and then it grew, and then they took over and they annexed land, and so that if this is a community, that's what would happen next. They would start small, then they would annex land, then they would start. They'd be like, "Oh, it's a black family there. Let's buy that up and pressure them to kick out." And then they would literally like have like it'd be super gentrification, and it'd be like legal, and they'd have precedents behind it.
You can't
And-
gentrify something where nobody's living there. It's undeveloped land.
I'm just trying to. I guess I'm trying to understand. Like, if we popularize the idea of communities and make it
white
acceptable
people
for everybody to
black
have their
people
own
all the
ethno
time.
states, then
that.
like I don't see like how we see this turning out good for black people. Like, if we popularize the idea, like it's cool for any race to have their own ethno state in a huge community, in which is only for that group, like whites only towns being acceptable. I don't see how like that plays itself out to be positive eventually for black people.
If we do it ourselves.
So we would have to also do it.
I think we should do it anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey, look, I already said all black people should move to the South and concentrate our power. I believe in that sort of that theory.
Sovereignty.
I believe in that theory.
Yeah, I think it's make believe land, but like I understand what you're saying. Like it would be nice if we can all like then do the thing that you're saying that white people can't do.
What's
But,
make believe
like,
land is these niggas taking over Charlotte. They would never take over Charlotte. That's make believe land.
I don't think that
They
anybody
taking over-
made the
they-
statement
they
of
took over
them
Tulsa.
taking over
Y'all-
Charlotte.
Y'all did. Y'all said they would move to Charlotte and take over.
said, what would happen
I
if-
would love for you to like show that clip. Nobody said that. Like now
All right.
you're like
All right.
you made the statement. We kept saying like if they were to annex a suburb, if they would go, like, he used Ballantyne. That's not Charlotte. Like again, like you kept saying that you kept moving it to the idea.
Y'all are moving the
that.
goalposts of Ballantyne versus Charlotte versus
Ballantyne
South
kinda
Park versus
is
this
Charlotte.
neighborhood.
Like,
Charlotte
but-
is the Charlotte. The
but we were
whole,
talking
the
about
whole.
But it's not.
neighborhoods. We were
Like,
talking about a
John, hold on.
specific part.
Yeah, I'll walk it then. Like, so what I was saying, I'll let Johnny speak for himself specifically. So if we're already saying that there are suburbs in Charlotte that are 95% white, like what's making it to where they make that make it only white, like a whites only town? Like that would be a very easy thing in comparison. Like where you're straw manning it is that you're saying all of Charlotte. That's a way different statement. Nobody's getting close to making a statement about all of Charlotte. How easy would it be for a 95% already quote unquote ethno state to just make it the rule if we've already popularized it and made
You know
it
the difference. You know the difference. Private land versus public land. And
If
that's
they
the difference.
But if they
can own
own
a
their
house.
land, I'm trying to okay.
You can own a house. You can own a neighborhood. But if
The
you don't,
businesses-
if
the
you don't own
businesses are
the if you don't own the land in which those things sit on, then you are renting from somebody.
Well,
Right.
most of these places are privately owned. Even when you go to the shopping centers, they're owned by these corporations that
But
run.
who owns the land in which these things sit on?
all the land is sold
It
to
falls within.
individuals.
So like okay. So for
I guarantee you,
wait, wait,
95% is going to
There's
be
not a
white
lot of
people.
there's not a lot of publicly owned land in Charlotte. There's parcels, but most of the land is owned by a private either person or company.
But when you incorporate as a city, you become an entity, right? So it's like once you start creating cities, towns, these incorporated things, now you start to create these opportunities to have different rules. So like, for example, like if you in Cary, you can have certain rules that don't apply to Fuquay, which don't apply to Holly Springs, because different towns have different types of rules that they can implement based on the town. You can incorporate a town that doesn't exist. Like towns are still being created till this day. So it's one thing to say I'm gonna move into a town and then make it yield to what I want. It's another thing to say I'm going to go somewhere, incorporate that town, and then create the rules for that town. That's a different conversation.
Welcome to the show. Steve, talk to us, brother.
Man, the ethno-state pipe dreams need to be hung up. Like, let's work this through a logical, real-world scenario. People's appeals to ethno-states always end in the same scenario. War. That's it. This idea that in the United States of America, that black folks can have an ethno-state and white folks can have an ethno-state and live in some utopian fantasy is not based in anything historical. Every time this is tried anywhere in the world, whether it's Kosovo and it's
Yugoslavia.
Why is the standard utopian fantasy? Why did you put that caveat there?
Because it is.
But who thinks it's gonna? But nobody said it's gonna create a utopian state.
But when the retort to if they create an ethno state, we should do the same. To think that's the answer, and it will be all good and gravy if we do the same. That's just not how it ever ends historically. Whenever people make claims to be able to like separate themselves based on race, historically speaking, and then another group does that, it always ends up in war. That is
you have to almost not believe in white supremacy also to believe that they're going to allow that happen.
We could talk about the Turks and the Kurds. We could talk about the Armenians and whoever. We could talk about the Ethiopians and Somalians.
What doesn't end in war, Steve?
Huh?
What doesn't end in war?
But this specifically, I'm talking about.
So I'm asking for tell me the one that doesn't end in war.
I'm talking about inside our physical country. If we start to make this like, obviously there's going to be war outside of, but the material condition of the country will be far worse off if we start saying people can make claims to having ethno states inside the borders of this country. It's it is a race war. It is a race.
No. So you telling me we already don't have segregated neighborhoods?
We do, but that is very different from ethno. Like there's degrees to this. We can say that there's segregation and there's historical reasons why we have segregations. That is one thing, but an ethno state is something very different. Like there is levels to this stuff. We can't just flatten all of this stuff and say just regular old segregated neighborhoods is the same as ethno state claims. That is something very different.
All right, so how many people need to be in a population to count as an ethno state? Because I think y'all giving these niggas too much credit. Like,
but if it's a city that's white only, that's an ethno.
But this is what I'm saying.
A city is an extreme. They're not a city.
But this is what I'm saying. It's not even if we saying that it's a ethno state.
They house 40 residents.
Agreed, but the idea should not be allowed in the United States of America at all. Right, like this idea that it's just insignificant and it shouldn't matter. The idea of having any type of ethno state in the United States of America, because what if it started to be okay? We're gonna have the Chinese part of the United States of America. We're gonna have the
Chinatown, no?
But that's not an ethno state.
So that, but let's pause on what we actually because let's make sure we talking about the same things, because the scale of what we're talking about or what these niggas have.
Scale don't matter to me. It's about the principle.
No, but so you can't say that because Chinatown is Chinatown. The principle is there. They have their own thing.
Chinatown is not an ethno state.
It's not
Chinatown.
It's the Asian only.
I can live in Chinatown in LA if I wanted to.
Yeah, I can walk through Chinatown.
I can live in Chinatown if I wanted to.
So you telling me, but aren't there neighborhoods that have gates that won't let you go
through? I
can
live in Chinatown if I want to.
But Steve, are there neighborhoods that regardless, if you don't live there, we can say you cannot enter?
Those are not ethno. Those are not grounded in.
But let me ask you a question. Can I buy land, build 10 houses, rent those houses out, and put a gate up and make sure that only the residents can enter and leave and choose who lives in that neighborhood? Can I do that as an American?
Not if it's a protected category. Not if it's one of the protected categories under the Civil Rights Act of 1968.
What's like? Give me more than that,
race,
please.
Gender, sex, religious. It's
No,
like
no,
7%.
Steve,
It's like 7%.
I own the property. I don't have to. I can rent
Yes,
to
you
who
do.
I want.
But
You
that's
do.
not. But they're like
No, yeah, that's not
certain
true.
levels of
You can't-
discrimination.
You
There are-
can't make me
there are
rent.
seven-
You can't make me rent to somebody I don't want to rent my private property to.
It's
No,
not
but
about
discrimination-
hold on. It's
but
not about
discriminating,
renting
that's
to
the part.
somebody you don't want to rent your private property to. You can't exclude people explicitly on 7 grounds. So, like for example, you rent out properties, correct? You in real estate, correct?
Yep.
You cannot say I will not rent my apartment out to anybody who is Jewish.
Correct. But I can still use my discretion and make decisions on who I
You
choose to rent
can,
it out
but
to.
you cannot explicitly have.
Yeah, but I can still make my decision. Is my point.
But that's different than an ethno state, though, and that's the
Nah.
point that he's making.
It really isn't.
So you think
No, when you make it law, it is
category.
No, because like Q, at the end of the day, if you put your house on the market right now and you get an offer for $400,000 from a wealthy white person, and then you got a black person who wants to give you $250, you don't have to take the 400.
No, you don't have to. But if you do state, if you make the statement that you're
but you
discriminating
don't have to
off of that.
You don't have to state that. You
But
can
you
just do
can't
what you want.
explicitly state that I'm not going to sell my house to white.
Like you like the meme that we just looked at. They stated it. Like that's where the issue is at. Like they make the statement, this is a whites only town that is exclusionary for only white people, and that now that you don't have to worry about the racial.
So if it's illegal, how is it happening? So if it's illegal, how is it happening?
Like I have to look up the more information on this.
Y'all telling me that this is illegal, but it's happening and they're expanding.
I'm pretty sure they got to sue them.
Somebody got to help me understand. If it's so illegal, then why is it happening and they're expanding?
I mean,
It's gonna
technically
run into some
tax
issues
evasion
like
is
they
illegal
always do.
too, but people do it.
Nah, but this is they're expanding. They've got a charter. They're opening up a new camp. Like if this is so illegal, why is this seeming?
Can somebody, whether it's a chat or G, can somebody send the exact company? Whatever.
I just got a serious question though. Do it? In my opinion, anytime people start making appeals to any like we have to get beyond the reality or this idea of somehow we can go back into like these hyper segregated this world fantasy that people live in. That's not the reality like that we like currently conduct ourselves in. We live
and
in
it's
a
void of
society.
any version of American history.
Like so a lot of people's
But, yeah.
ideas of what they think is building a community is like actually more anti-societal thinking than like anything. Like this some of the like craziest stuff I've like ever heard. Like ethno states and I want to live like, yeah, of course we got racial pride. And I think too many times people confuse racial pride and having racial self-esteem of thinking that like, oh, well, all black people just need to live together. As if all black people have the same goals, intentions, political aims. Because we know all black people don't have those things. So this idea that our flat blackness is just good enough for us all to come together, I don't even buy into that logic.
I think that's a separate conversation. I can somewhat agree, like that in itself kind of moves the conversation a little bit. But I don't necessarily disagree with that general point.
Yeah, let me.
So D, I guess we can land with this
shit
part.
racist as hell. If you go and look at it, it's called Return to the Land. They talking about Hitler and like 14 words and like, like actually like.
Hey, put it in the private chat so I can look at it.
Because like isn't the KKK an official organization?
Link.
For example, like don't they have a whole charter and all this other stuff? Like how like if it's illegal, then how do these shit still exist?
I mean, there's a lot of shit that's like illegal.
Go ahead.
I'd have to understand exactly how like they're.
And the thing is that like I don't know, and I'm pretty sure because like what you're talking about the KKK, like this is a specific group. So like this typically when you talk about protected classes and what like is illegal and is not illegal, it deals with like hiring and shit like that. It deals with like healthcare and shit like that. It deals with education and shit like that.
So
go ahead.
Typically groups like this, the issues they run into is trying to procure services and stuff on behalf of like the community. So for example, it's probably gonna be hard for them to bank. It's probably gonna be because nobody is gonna want to, deal with the political or the potential of being exposed to like something that's discriminatory. So society has ways of like dealing with it because it's just so many. It's because it is openly discriminatory. If they doing everything on their own, they doing everything on their own. But it is gonna be like very hard for them because of the legal ramifications. If they trying to go raise money through a 501c nonprofit, that's not gonna be deemed legal. If it's based off a because that's a 501c is a federally
federal
statute. You get what I'm saying? Like it's stuff that's gonna run into roadblocks, down the road. And maybe they shouldn't even say nothing about it because now they block hot, and that it is what it is. And you gotta also think all it takes is a new Department of Justice to come in, and you got all types of legal ramifications that you gotta, answer for.
And
like,
the attorney general said he's looking into it.
Like that, like the attorney general of the state already said they're looking into it, Johnny.
Yeah, because the NAACP is making noise. But like I'm looking at this article from the Independent. It's a white-only community with 40 residents. I'm asking, is just for is that an ethno state, a community with 40 residents?
I think the idea is an ethno state. The
ethno state could start with 40 people.
I could care less if it's 4 people. The idea that they are espousing is that it's acceptable to have ethno states. Like this idea that like, oh, it's not that big. I really could care less about that. Like, it's either the principle is we disagree with the principle or we agree with the principle. I disagree with the principle regardless of whatever size the community is.
So do you agree in having any communities based off of quote unquote identities?
No, not if it's exclusion. Not if it's exclusionary to other people.
So there is, so you believe in like that human race type thing? We just all the same race, like one world. Like that's your philosophy?
Obviously, scientifically, race is constructed. Do we have to deal with the ramifications of the constructs? Yes, I understand all of that, but race is not like real. Like
okay, fellas, hold on. But now reality is different. What's real in reality is different. But okay.
But I just said
I think
I get
Steve is giving us the layup for the real topic.
Yeah.
So before we go there, though, and Steve, this is pretty much a layup. We gonna keep you up here. Again, call-in link is open. So before we go, because it seems like you have like a really strong opinion on it. Just getting you to answer this straight out, and then we'll move on. Knowing everything you know about the history of America and like your belief in what white supremacy is, do you think that they would allow a successful black ethno state in America?
I think it would be very difficult to achieve. I don't think that means we shouldn't try to achieve it.
Okay. All right. So nonetheless, I think that where Steve was just at, it lends to kind of like the most clickbaity part of the conversation. In which he's kind of speaking to the idea like, I ain't putting all lives matter on them, but he said all humans are the same. Or they like race is a construct. If I'm going to actually like properly quote him. I was watching, what is it? Mehdi Hassan. He was doing a 20v1 in Jubilee. And I actually got like a really good laugh because of they did something. Maybe it had to do with like the Constitution or some crazy, like something simple. And this was like him versus 20 far white extremists. And a part of that, well, not even a part of it. So in essence, with Jubilee, everybody race to the chair. One guy grabs it. He sits down. Mehdi talks. He say, "Where you from?" And he said, "I'm an American citizen." He said, "Where your people from?" I was like, "Oh shit, I know this playbook." And so in essence, it was interesting hearing multiple similar talking points. But the issue was that this guy in the conversation, he said that he is a white supremacist, like he is a white extremist. And I'm trying to think of like it was another like specific quote that he used that I was like, oh shit, like this sounds exactly like things that I have heard. And it typically was like to obfuscate whatever point that Mehdi was making. When he couldn't answer, he would kind of be like, wait, where are your people from? Or where are you from? Or what gives you the authority to speak on this? And I lend that to say, again, I think that last week we had a fun time, but there was a moment where shout out Unc, call in when you get the chance. Unc
Take a deep breath this time before you hit that Kyle.
Hey, woosah. You got it, woosah.
Take a deep breath,
So don't ever say that motherfucking
shut the it was a fun time though.
Sound like Sam Jackson on this motherfucker.
Yeah, he did. But again, as well, we've been inside more than enough conversations on here, with multiple versions in different casts, in which a lot of times I think even last week, shout out I got Ron Dwan. He got asked, hey, where you from? Where your people from? Yeah, I mean, you go back to like our earliest episodes. Hey, where you from? So I asked y'all kind of just like the clickbaity part right now. Where you from? Is this where intellectual discourse goes to die? Or is it like a valid question in understanding like a good point that's being made?
It could be both. I think it depends on who's asking it and why. I think there's a lot of space where it does go to just throw the conversation off. But if you asking it for like, context on an opinion or, your background, like why do you think this way? Then I could see, but for most part, when most people ask it, it's just like in LA, motherfuckers say where you from, you know what time it is. It's fights, it's smoke when you hear that question. So,
I really hear that where you from turn out positive.
Yeah,
Gee, talk to us, brother.
I think depending on the context of the discussion.
Let's say a person made like a good point, but they're not somebody that you want to hear it from.
It depends on what the point is about, right? Because if the conversation is legitimately about immigration, I think it might be a fair question to say, like, where are you from? Because we're talking about immigration, and I could see how if you are an immigrant or were born first generation, that might have a legitimate impact on your perception of the conversation compared to someone like myself who's multi-generational, Black American descendant of slavery. And so in that context, I understand. But when we just shooting the shit about what happened on the other side of town, and then somebody says something, you're like, hold up, where are you from? Like, or something has nothing to do with immigration or foreign affairs or anything like that. It's just you have a disagreement and you start looking at somebody like, yo, where are you from? I think that's where it's like, okay, what are we really talking about here? Like,
got you. In that, say that y'all are talking immigration and they make like a interesting point. Is the interesting point less valid because of where they're from?
I'm not gonna say it's less valid, but it gives context to why they might think that way, which then might help me recenter, understand who I'm talking to. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not gonna say it discredits their point, but it will help me, process their opinion maybe with a different lens and understanding where they're coming from with it versus just kind of hearing it without that context.
And I think where you from can, depending on the opinion. I don't want to just do a paint all on it, but like there are certain situations where being from a place gives you better context than others. And I can see how if I'm not from a certain place and I'm have my opinion and I'm not really from there, I may be a little off. So I think there is space where it can matter, depending on the context. But I think a good opinion is a good opinion 9 times out of 10. And good opinion is a good opinion. So where you from shouldn't matter, but there are times where it does and it can.
So is that a matter of messenger versus message? So like if a message is strong, does it matter where if it comes from a strong messenger, and does that dilute the conversation if you're talking points by just bringing up
I think the messenger
introduction
can.
to identity politics? You say what?
I think the messenger can have an effect on how the message is received.
Of course, but that's not the
I
question I was asking. I think that we know that it does. We see it every week. What I'm asking, and this is where I'm asking, like the intellectual graveyard. Does the intellectual does it lead us to the intellectual graveyard where the messenger matters more than the message?
It shouldn't, but it does. It shouldn't. Like I got a good message is a good message, and we should be able to receive said message no matter who it comes from. But I think there are times where the messenger matters. It's just like sometimes as a kid growing up, your mama, your daddy can tell you something, but then you get that cool uncle, he say it, and it just ring. It hits a little harder. So I think.
But did it make it less true when your parents said it?
No, it doesn't message like it didn't message too. I'm talking about just how the message is received. But yeah, the message is still the message. The message is still the message.
I don't know if I can agree in the context of like Black people specifically, because the message say if there's a message for the Black community, I don't know if that message needs to come from a Black immigrant. If I'm, they might make a good point, but I don't know if the messenger for the say Black community in America needs to like that message needs to come from somebody who just, for lack of better words, just got here. So I do think that depending on the message, the messenger is very important.
I got another one, but what's the point of a message? Is the point of a message just to be right, or is the point of the message to be received? Because like that's something like.
Well, I think that these are different things. Like if somebody just makes like an objective point, I think that's different than like we're starting to use like the word message. I'm not sure exactly what we're meaning by that. Like that name becomes like this little semantical thing where like, are we giving like a message to the people inside like Elijah Muhammad type of shit? Or are we talking about like an actual valid objective observation? And I think that those are different things. Where if we're saying if somebody's giving an ought statement where you ought to do this is different than something that is objectively a truth. And those are different things. And I don't know if I want to like go down the semantic of message as much as like objectivity.
I mean, I guess like I mean, if it's subjective and we ain't talking about a message and I ain't got no wiggle room, like you gonna take out my little, my little
Steve, talk to us, brother. Go ahead.
Let me make what. So if we use that as an example, right? So I'm gonna shout out my boy Steve because he told me that that 1/3 of Black men were felons. I think that was the data point that he told me. That's like an objective statistic.
Okay.
It's one thing if Steve tell me that, but if the Return of the Land dude starts citing that statistic, you're going to start listening to it a different way because of who he is and what the connotation is behind him mentioning the statistic. So objective truths can be used for good and bad. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what the motivation is or who the messenger is.
It don't make it less true though, right?
It don't make it less true, but it can make it way more offensive depending on who's saying it and how they're trying to use the objective truth.
The point that's being made with the statistic, matters. It's one thing to say 1/3 of all Black men is a felon, and then the point you trying to make is about some biological deterministic factors that Black man is born deficient. Like that is the point that some people are trying to make with that type of stuff. And some people is trying to make a point to say 1/3 of Black men is a felon. That's a problem, and what like societal factors is causing. Because I don't think 1/3 of all Black men deserve to be felons. It's something more to it than that. You know what I'm saying? And like the question of where you from, I do think it's important because I even noticed this in my life when you talking about stuff like race and stuff from people who from like the North or some shit. And it's like they just got a whole different perspective. And you like, like where you from? Because like I didn't grow up in Texas my whole life, and some of this shit you saying about race just sound like fantasy land, you know, whatever the case may be. And typically they somebody who from like grew up in California their whole life or grew up in, you know, up north somewhere their whole life, and then they got a very different, you know, context and idea around certain stuff because they are from somewhere different than the South. You know, I think that's a valid question. You know, pretty much in my opinion. You know,
Okay,
I don't
and
think we
and
could use it
and
to
again,
shut down conversation though, but I do think like it should be used to kind of gain an idea of like why this person might have this idea about certain stuff or whatever the case may be.
gotcha. And I guess going to where you're at. So yes, it sounds like you're saying that where you're from does give context to the subjective experience of each person when like you're having like a general conversation. Do you think that it is a proper rebuttal when, like you said, a person is making a point about we'll just use the same example that y'all used, like a third of black people are felons of some sort or something like that.
Typically the way
like should you respond with the idea of where you from? Oh, that shit don't make sense.
No.
And this is where I'm getting into like the intellectual graveyard. I think that we all understand that subjective experience matters with opinion and how you formulate your opinion. But again, when we use like the word of like actual intellectual discourse, and this is where like the idea of like the graveyard comes in, it is the proper response or rebuttal. Do you think that it's useful to be identity based or to actually respond with context and or statistic?
I get what you're saying, Q, but I even agree with kind of the point that you're making that far too often now when somebody disagrees with a point about, you know, quote unquote, the, you know, black community or FBA, ADOS, whatever the foundational indigenous Negroes, freedmen, whatever, all B1, it's 10,000 different names for it. Too many times when nobody has a retort or can bring up a valid point beyond what's being discussed anymore, it does devolve into you trying to say, well, you know, where your grandfolks from? Oh, my people was born in South Carolina in 1976 or whatever the case might be. But I get what you're saying because I do see that like a lot when, you know, instead of having the conversation and arguing the principle, we arguing about like proving your genealogy. It's like, nigga, my people been here since slavery, nigga. What you want me to tell you? Like so just because I don't agree with you, I can't be from here or some dumbass shit like that. It's like, nigga, what you want me to tell you?
And I guess Kofi, then Kamu, then Unc. Old man was in here somewhere. Yeah, I'll find old man in a second.
But anyone too?
Yeah, all right, there you go. So yeah, Kofi, Kamu, Unc, old man. But damn, that kind of ended up making.
Hey, Kamu, when you gonna ship me a brick of that wonga, man?
Hey, I want my spot back after Kofi. Slide me after Kofi.
Oh, you was after Kofi. All right. All right.
Where is old man?
I'm about to get this right. I think just the format of this, the structure of this page is why it's doing it. But here you go, right there.
Oh, okay.
Kofi, talk to us, brother.
All right. Trigger warning. So I'm gonna say
before we go trigger warning, I also want to make sure that we have some version of like a real conversation. So let's go. Make sure that we refrain.
FBA hat.
Listen. We just mute mics if we start using derogatories. Just early.
No. I have one of and proved many times. Is why I'm glad this is being recorded. Just how G said something. So okay, I agree with mostly everything that all of you have said. I'm only going to talk about the pushback. That's going to go out the window the moment I bring something up that you guys don't agree with. And this is where, you know, you talk a good game, but I don't know if you're going to really live up to what you're saying. You're going to walk that walk. So again, keep in mind, I agree with everything that you guys have said. Everything. This is only my little pushback where I'm just asking for.
Well, we disagree too, because I don't know if I agree with some of this. Go ahead, let's listen. We listen.
Yeah. So basically, the where you're from stuff, you know, I agree. You know, saying depending on what you're talking about in the context that it is and things of that nature, I get that.
Mm-hmm.
In these spaces, is being used as a way to shut down a conversation, like you said, because a valid point is being made, and you know where this question is going to go is going to pretty much undermine your point. So it becomes of where you're from, because you know basically your premise is a very false premise. The thing I want to do an analogy. So G basically said something about the analogy, like, well, hey, if an immigrant is can't tell me this or this that because I'm a Black American, so I won't know if you're an immigrant, right? So to me, that's kind of tribalistic and a little bit shallow, even though he didn't give a context. It could say, well, okay, this, because you're an immigrant, this is your mindset. That's no different. And you know, Steve's gonna have to catch a stray here, because I was on here last time. Everybody lost their shit when I brought up a simple statistic of saying American-born people, immigrants here are commit less crime than American-born people. And then Steve and everyone got whatever, but that's a factual statistic.
I ain't do nothing. You know, I ain't.
No, I'm just saying the last time I did, because everyone. That's why I said trigger warning. So if I just to go back to my point, so I use G's point, I'm saying, well, you know what? Use that same statistic and stat and say, well, because this person's a Black American, this person is probably a criminal. You see how illogical that is? Just because someone's an immigrant doesn't mean they have ill will against you, or this is their particular mind frame or mindset. Even though there's certain things.
Can I make a clarifying point? Can I just make a clarifying point?
Sure.
What I said did not insinuate that immigrants have some sort of mindset or ill will or harm towards the community. That was not my intent. I just want to be clear.
You got background noise. You got to turn your mic down.
Basically, I think your premise is coming from, well, they really can't tell anything. It goes to my second point.
So let me just be clear on that. Like, so you're Ghanaian, American, right?
No, Guyanese, but doesn't matter.
Guyanese. Okay, my bad. You're Guyanese American.
Yeah.
If I were to start making comments about like giving you advice as a Guyanese American, you go like, this nigga never even like why is he giving me advice? But I don't have a good example because I'm not as well versed. But what I'm saying is like this is the context of what I'm talking about in terms of certain times immigrants like Kamu, for example, last week was telling us you guys are crying about something that's 100 years old. It's like, Kamu, you're not really like here.
I wouldn't agree with that. I wouldn't agree with that.
To like say that in a way where it's received in a way where it sounds like it's or productive or conducive for something positive. It sounds like you're saying these things in a more combative, talking down to way. So this is where I'm saying like the messenger, depending on the message, like if you're trying to mobilize or whatever the case with a community, that message oftentimes will be better received from
no. See that example, I agree 100%. But someone telling you that, I don't care if they're black, white, indigo, or checkered, that's a fucking bad message. No disrespect to you, Kamo, but anyone, that's basically a statement being made without knowing the history of black people in this country. So that's just a bad argument to say that. That's just a very bad argument.
But if we stay to that, let's just use that as an example. I guess in my opinion, I would say that not responding to it with context and reason allows for that same argument to come up another week and another week and another week. If it's only going to like trigger like an emotional response and like it gets you riled up, I don't see where the intellectuality of it is, like where you can actually build or find a bridge or do anything outside of like continue the divisiveness. And that's where, like, I think that sometimes we get in places where we want to be, like, we want to be safe. Like, we want to feel like safe. And so it's more so like we want to be received and not be pushed back on. And not in spite of that. So a part of that is that we might run from, and I'm not saying that it's a truth. So let's make sure that we understand. I'm not saying that's the truth. But a lot of times we can run from an uncomfortable truth with like an easy out, which a lot of times ends up going along those lines. Hopefully,
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to address too, because you did clear it up, G. So you said something. Well, hey, so if someone, a black immigrant, came here and say something like, hey, you know what, I'm gonna do, I don't know, ABC because you know there's gonna be some type of redlining or any way you safeguard yourself as a black man because you see an existential threat from white supremacy or the dominant society. You know what? I'm going to protect myself as a black man. I'm going to protect my kids. I'm going to protect my neighborhood. I'm going to protect my home. And a black immigrant comes over to you and says, "Why are you going to do that? You all American. You're American like white people. And why are you going to do something like that? Racism is in the past. Why are you doing that? That's fucking stupid." Then I understand what you're saying. But you said if a person just got off of, just came here or whatever, you know what I'm saying, that'll be the case. But so you didn't generalize. So I just want to make sure you weren't generalized. So someone, again, such as myself, right, and many other black immigrants that were like raised here, they will have the same. They will have you and I will have the same mentality. It's not someone who came here as an adult or young adult and they have to learn a whole new custom, a whole new history. It's nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my pushback is when they'll say, well, you're a black immigrant, so you can't talk on American business. You know what I'm saying? There's people, there's black people here in America for generations and generations, and they're coons. So being born here doesn't really necessarily mean like, oh, you're on code and you know what you're doing. It's basically a human nature type of thing, and everyone's gonna do what they want to do. You're gonna have some people that's for the fight, and you have some people that's gonna bow down. And to me, it doesn't necessarily have to be about you not being from here or not.
And I think that because a little bit of where you went to, and oh man, I'm coming to you next. Would be that like there to me, I do think that there's a big difference in objective opinion, or like something that's objective and then giving prescription. And that's where I think that a lot of, especially if you go out of like out of the identity that you are and you're speaking to another identity, typically that's where you're going to run into the most issue. And I don't think that is even always incorrect, because of when you're giving prescription and you're saying what somebody should do, then there's a part of like lived experience and things like that. If you're giving like a objective statistic, like 1/3 of black people are felons, I think that the response to that, it should be the context and the history in comparison. Hopefully y'all understand what I'm saying.
No, I agree. If you're doing it just to slander a person or a group of people, then that's just wrong, because there's a lot of context to that. It goes again.
But you have to correct that with like context and facts.
Yes. So you just can't lay out a blatant, and I'll say this particular statistic that some people may not agree. So when people go around, it's one of my pet peeves that really eggs me when people say, well, oh, Africans sold us, and leave it at that. That's true, but that's not necessarily true. You're telling a half truth, which ends up being a lie. And there's no context to that for you to understand why that happened, for example.
Right. In which I imagine that you would probably rebut with facts and like a history of the who, what, when, and why that said thing happened. But oh man, talk to us, brother.
So real quick, if Africans sold us, then it's not a lie. It either is or they either did or they didn't. So
you want this segue cue?
We're not gonna go back and forth. But I do think that like you making that point kind of go. I'm gonna love. I'm interested to hear where you land at. Because what you're talking about then is like an objective truth. It is what it is.
Yeah. So I'm just.
It shouldn't matter the messenger. It just is a fact, right?
It is. It either happened or it didn't. What I wanted to go.
Yeah, but it's disingenuous.
Yeah,
it's not true.
Hey, guys.
Like the whole 1/3 of black people.
Y'all want to get into that argument? Let's keep the plot. Let's keep the plot.
Hey, go for it. You got to respect me. Give me some time. All right. So the other thing I wanted to say is blue eyes is a black trait. It's actually a black gene, and it's a mutation of so that whole commercial with the
Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah, I love it. I'm like, y'all think this is y'all trait? This is purity? It's not purity. It's actually a mutation, and it's a perfect mutation. So I think creative people out there should just go and create their own parodies, get some black people with blue eyes and have the genes and do the whole skit. That's how you compete against that.
Okay, so but you do think that there was a racial context to it?
Yeah, I love the racial. I hate covertness.
Okay.
I just want people, if you're going to be a racist. So then we can give you facts and information so you can hopefully understand, or people who think you teaching them something, they'll know the truth. So I love it. Go ahead, be racist. We're not going to buy your products. Be racist.
Gotcha.
The other thing I wanted to say, okay, so the question of where you from, who you are, this is not a black thing, white thing. This is just a human thing. This is just a protective thing. When you go from a tribe to a tribe, like in Americas, when they came upon another tribe, they're like, where are you from, who you are? It's identifying factors. When you learn a language, that's the first thing you learn. You say, hi, hello, my name is, where are you from? I mean, this is everybody will get that, ask that question every time, anywhere, wherever. The problem I have with is when people present themselves as one ethnicity or one group, and they're not from there. So when we're talking about American immigration, if you're a legal immigrant in America, yeah, to me, I can respect your opinion and listen to it. If you're illegal, I can't, in one ear out the other, because you already just broke the law. You have no representation.
What the observation is true. It don't matter. Fuck them.
You have no representation. You have no vote. You have no nothing. You're not even a citizen. You're just a guest. So all that doesn't even matter to me. So I'm gonna ask where you from, who you are, how long you've been here, to see if you're a citizen or not, just so I can see where you're at and where you're coming from.
Gotcha. All right. Straight from the back roads of Clinton, South Carolina. Shout out Unc. Unc told he told me that he was gonna let y'all know what I was dancing to at the family reunion.
No, I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna leave that one. I'm gonna let that one go. Yo,
Okay.
yeah. I think, but I do think this right here. Where you from is a very valid question.
Okay.
It's very, because not only like where you from, because as who said it earlier, it's like wherever you're from, far as in the location in just this country, can mean one thing or the next thing. You know, you go on the West Coast, that's, you know what I'm saying, they live a whole different lifestyle than they do in the Midwest, or even up north or down south, you know what I'm saying, in our region. So where you from can mean the way you stating things or what your statements might be something else. If you go somewhere and be like, what's up, cuz? You say that right there in LA, that mean one thing. But you come down here, I say, what's up, cuz? That means you my family. You understand what I'm saying? So where you from, your statements and things of that nature can mean a lot. And that guy you was talking about, that y'all, I was watching the thing with y'all the other day. He was an Indian dude. Not only looked like he Indian. First he said, I'm from England. Then he said, I'm American citizen. So here you are, an Indian descent. First then your parents moved to England. Now you come to America and the motherfucker can't ask you where you from. Motherfucker, you are strange and weird for getting mad at somebody ask you where the fuck you from, because you are confused. He was confused dude. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand,
where you from? Because you sound English. No, you sound English, look Indian, and you say I'm American.
I think
That's why the hell somebody ask you where you from.
And I think that
you're a weirdo. He's a weirdo. He was a weirdo, and it had no reason to get mad at nobody ask you where you from.
I think that
put the ENJ down.
Weirdo.
Put the ENJ down.
But no, I think that where you're at is an interesting spot. I disagree. So we can have like a quick little back and forth. So like if we use like the Medi stream, so the conversation was about Trump, and if Trump was if he was pro immigrant. No, I think this was like
pro crime. That was the first crime.
If he was pro crime, and it was using like the reporter. Well, he's like a reporter. If y'all know who Mehdi Hassan is, he's like a journalist, reporter, XYZ. So he was using objective facts, which would be like he pardoned people from January 6th, XYZ. And you know he brought up some Epstein shit. Like it was a bunch of different little things that he used to paint why he was pro crime. The guy's rebuttal to him was, "Where are you from?" And where, like, I understand how like context would make sense if he was giving like I don't know, like if you're giving objective truths inside that manner, where your job is to now respond how Trump is not pro crime. I would imagine like the most effective way to do it would be by like giving like a rebuttal that dealt with things that he did, in which like the guy's personal identity in that context wouldn't matter. If he was
totally
just speaking about the American society and how bad it was in its degradation of XYZ, I think that that's different. And then there's like context where he's from would matter so much more, because then what does crime look like in Britain? What's crime look like in India? Like that would be different in comparison to where, like, if you're giving like an example of Trump is an anti or pro-crime president, and then you use like actions that he's did and then line it up with American judicial standards. Unc, talk to me.
You're on mute. You might be on
All
mute.
right, can you hear me now? Yeah. You talking about with Trump? The whole thing with Trump is, you know what I'm saying?
No. So like, the Indian guy was arguing why Trump is pro-crime, and he was using the examples of what is it? January 6th, Epstein, XYZ. And then the rebuttal was, "Where are you from?" And that's why he said it doesn't matter where I'm from if I'm arguing this based on like American judicial standards. And
because first of all, he's not American. He's not American. He's not even an Englishman. He's an Indian. You understand what I'm saying? He's somebody that jump around. You know how I always say, people stay in your lane. You ain't nothing wrong. Stay in your lane. What does any of that have to do with him? He's a jump around.
But if he's making a point that has nothing to do with where he's from, I don't understand why where he's from would make a difference in what Trump did and what the American standards are.
With the American, yeah, I get what you're saying now. You're saying that it really, if he's making a factual statement, then it's no reason to even ask where you're from.
Oh, like in that.
So that's what you're saying.
Yeah, but if he was saying like American society is bad and trash, then I think it's valid to ask where he's from, because it's like, all right, so what's the comparison point? But if you're just saying Trump committed these crimes, he went to trial for these, and then you just used like American standards by it. I think whether it's Kamu or this Indian or somebody inside Ghanaian, you know what I mean? I think it doesn't matter if the fact is the fact. You understand what I'm saying?
If they're speaking facts, it's facts. That's what you're saying. So it shouldn't matter where you're from. Sometimes people just mind their own damn business. That's it. Mind your own damn business. Mind your business. Get your shit right where you at. If your shit ain't right where you at, why the fuck you worry about what's going on over here? You worry about the wrong shit. Get your people together. Get your people together. Get the Indians together. Make sure they right. Why you worrying about what Trump doing? You want to come over here in a country.
I think Unc got his FBA card on the low.
Oh no, Unc got his FBA card.
Unc got his FBA, and that bitch laminated too. He got that thing right. I know
that shit gold.
That still wouldn't make it
laminated too.
Mind your business. Mind your business, people. That's the whole problem with people. Worry about your family. The people that's worried, that got something to do with you. You come over here, deal with what the hell we doing. If we doing something wrong, stay where you at. Stay where you at. If you don't like it here, stay where you at.
But if you're an American citizen, then it does matter. So being an American citizen, does that matter to have an opinion on the president? Because it does deal with where you're at.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It really does. It wasn't like he wasn't making sense with what he was saying. But I just, you know what I'm saying, he didn't let nobody talk. Anytime someone talked, he shut him off. The minute they were just talking, he's a jerk. He's a jerk. He's an idiot. And he's, like I said, he's a jump around. Indian dude say family took him to England. Now he say he American. How the hell? Come on, bro. He's confused.
Steve,
I think the rebuttal to that is like we need to be honest about the role America plays in the world. Like everybody gonna have opinion because I can draw line after line how everybody in the world is impacted by decisions that America make. That's just the reality. That's just the reality of it.
Steve, America's just
Hell no, Steve.
America's just a construct, Steve.
No. But I mean,
these lines.
Nah. We got a
I'm talking
military
about
back
the.
from there.
I'm talking about the.
Oh, my bad, Kamu. I'm about to come to you.
I'm talking about the politics, the military-industrial complex, trade, economics. Everybody in the world, America is the most powerful country in the world. Do we think that our country does not lead to ramifications all over the world?
Hey, with that said,
what they got to do with this Indian nigga, man?
Let's ask
But
the world.
I'm just saying, like the point people say,
Indian nigga. That's crazy.
I think the kind of the point
might be a native.
I think the point when people say, well, everybody should just mind their business, it's kind of weird. If you actually like travel to other countries, they watch American news because what America does is important to their country.
Hey, that's what you're talking about. Two different things. Internationally, yes. Domestically, they have no say.
Even if they're
mind your business. Mind your business.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Kamu, talk to us, brother.
Don't mind your business.
How's it, gentlemen?
Good.
Man, I think where you from is just a basic human courtesy, right? No one should get offended from having to explain where they come from, and also there's absolutely nothing wrong with having to prove the validity of your point by virtue of just associating to where you're from, because look, people have mentalities, bro. It's just a fact of life. People have mentalities. Now, like, let me make a typical example. If I engage a white person or a European, when I ask where you from, if they say I'm from England, and the next one says I'm from Switzerland, I'm gonna treat them differently. The English guy gonna have to prove themselves to me that they're not racist, imperialistic, or you know what I mean, dog, or colonialist. And then the Swedish guy,
I don't give
have
a fuck
nothing
if
to
they
worry about.
Swiss, English, German, Irish.
All of them the same, man.
Hey, fuck them all,
We
Kamu.
lump
But
them
hey,
all in.
do you, Kamu? Do you?
We lump them all the same. White is white.
Well, over here in America, white is white, like Kofi said. He is right about that. White is white over here.
Go
When
ahead,
they
talk
find
about
out
the
white
Nigerians,
supremacy, they get
Kamu.
with the
That's what you
program.
really want to talk about. Talk about the Nigerians.
Oh, that's why he's doing. All right, Steve, you actually you revealed the plot. Okay,
Talk about the Nigerians, Kamu. Go ahead.
Now, talking about America,
shit on Nigeria.
South African, that's
look, America is a weird country in a sense that it has been the most powerful country for the last 70 years. Now, when we talk about democracy and all of those things, it becomes a very weird conversation to have, because you have people like the Indian guy. He claims to be Indian American. What nonsense is that? You're either Indian or American. America came up with this weird way of identification that it's very weird, bro. Like, what do you mean you are Nigerian American? You're just Nigerian, dog. Like, you know what I mean? So
one's ethnicity, one's nationality.
No, hold up.
Kamu.
One's ethnicity, the other one's nationality.
When the Nigerians go to South Africa, are they like Nigerian South Africans, or are they just South Africans?
That's a good question,
bro. They Nigerian.
So they don't even get the claim South African.
Don't put that essay on them.
No.
Hey, Kamu, what about? But Kamu, what about when one of them Nigerians then have is it a colored baby, or is it an African baby, or like they have a baby with like one of the natives?
They have a Bantu baby, Nigerian and a Bantu.
What do y'all call that?
No,
what is that baby called? Is that Nigerian South African, or is that like it's still just a Nigerian?
No. Your ass is Nigerian. So in Africa, what we do is
can't get rid of that stain. Can't get rid of that.
Hey, I'm 100% with you, bro. Mama, I'm 100% with you. Keep going. Keep
Oh,
going.
It's a Nigerian, baby.
Oh no! Hey, no, old man, listen, you can't do that because with FBA, all you need is half lineage. All you need is half lineage with FBA. With
Who
him,
told you
I'm
that?
saying like the Nigerian is the stain. Like
One
if
drop,
you got
one
any
drop
of
rule. One
Cancel
drop
this shit
rule.
out.
One drop rule for the Nigerians.
Shit, cancel that shit. All that shit
One
out.
drop, nigga.
At least
Cancel
in
all
South
that
Africa
shit.
they had the one drop rule, Kamo. Come on,
Y'all got
now.
the
and you
one
want
drop
you
rule.
want a real opinion, all you got to do is start talking about South Africa, Nigerians. It's crazy. All right, go ahead, Kamu.
Yeah, I'm just saying, in Africa, what we identify. So it would be your father. If your father is American, you are American. If your father is Zimbabwean, you're definitely Zimbabwean. So if I were to make a child with a Nigerian woman, that child would be South African. That's how we do it all over the continent. You know what I mean?
That sounds like
So
some Hebrew
so in
Israelite
as
shit.
far as
Is that all over the country or all over the continent?
But you wouldn't do
Is
that.
it
You
all
wouldn't
over the
do that.
country like that or all over the continent? Because it's about 52 or 53 countries in Africa, right?
He said Hebrew Israelite shit. That's crazy.
Now that is,
That's
you are who your
crazy.
father's child. You come. They say you come from your
What
father,
tribe are
even
you
I
though
mean,
from?
but
you're
don't
in
we
your
all,
mom.
in theory, take our father's last name? Isn't that like custom here too? You take the father's last name, like that's customary. A lot
Yeah,
of
but your
places.
mama could be FBA and you still get reparations.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Some customs in Africa, you take the mother's name too. Depends what people you're talking about. Sometimes the father's name, sometimes
yeah,
it's the mother.
we have Malawi. Malawi's matrilineal. You know, they take the mothers, and you know, the mothers and the aunties are the ones who make proper societal decisions. But other than it's a very
Got
few
doctors.
countries. Most countries, bro, you are first out.
Gotcha. All right, fellas. Let's move the conversation along a little bit. And let's get into, I guess, closer to the title topic. So, are we going through a black identity politic crisis? I'll throw this first question out here. Does an appeal to racial/ethnic identity politics and isolation help or hurt minorities? Yeah, we'll just leave it there, and then we can break it down to black people specifically. But does an appeal to racial/ethnic identity politics and isolation help or hurt minorities?
I think the appeal hurts us because I mean you can look at since we were talking about Tulsa and everything that we had before, and we could see like kind of the since integration how like I feel like we've had a downtrodden, we've lost a lot of our family structure and stuff like that. So I think the move closer to whiteness has hurt us, and I think we've kind of lost our identity and what actually made us us and what actually gave us strong communities in the first place.
Gotcha. Hey, fellas, we starting to kind of, what is this? About 8 of us in here right now. So what we're gonna do? Johnny did a great job. Let's try and keep the initial response to about a minute, so we get everybody's initial. Then we'll kind of like just chop it up afterward. G.
And can you say the question one more time? It was was it
Does an
positive?
appeal to racial/ethnic identity, politics, and isolation help or hurt minorities?
The thing about it is for black minorities specifically, if we don't appeal,
G, I'm gonna ask the same question just for black in a second, but I
okay,
just want to get the initial.
so because I'll say you have to play that game because that's how America created the rules. If the rule, so yeah, because when you come over here, regardless of where you're from, they make you claim a race. It's like they break you down and they classify you like this. And so, from a resources standpoint and just how they collect data, like they've made a system in which they make decisions based off of these demographic factors. So if you don't find ways to pull demographics together as a collective, then those demographics will largely get looked over when it comes time to make decisions, in my opinion.
My bad.
So,
You said if you don't pull Say it again. Say the last thing again.
If you don't pull your demographic together, then your demographic will get overlooked.
Okay. I guess going to what you were saying. You said that America kind of set it up that way.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's intentional? Where do you not believe that division is the power for the majority? Where like if you keep all the minorities, especially once the minorities overpower in number the majority, if you keep them divided, then is there not more power in that? And it works especially for the majority, and that's why they would design it that way.
Yeah, I think it's definitely intentional. But that said, it's like it's like the reality of all these majority of people coming together to go after the actual man behind the curtain, if you will. Like, we know that there's a small percentage of people pulling all the strings, and if everybody got together as a collective, they could do nothing about that. But that's just not the reality of what's going to happen.
So it doesn't matter either way we fuck. That's pretty much it.
Hey, yo, somebody need to be muted.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Let me see. All right. Kamu, talk to us. Quick minute excerpt. Do you need me to repeat the question or you got it?
I think I got it. Look, it does hurt minorities. Look, let me just use South Africa.
Kamu, remember we stay in under a minute right here. Go ahead. Well, I think we lost Kamu. Kofi, we're gonna go to you while Kamu was buffering over here.
Yeah, you said we can't use black. That'll be the next question. So repeat the question really quick.
I just use minorities first. I think that like black is its own specific thing, and I guess if this helps us get through more questions, if you want to address it, matter of fact, first start with minority. When we give like a group dialogue, we'll get into yeah.
All right, so yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much not gonna take much time. I have more to say about when we talk about the minorities, specifically when it comes to black people. But yeah, I agree with pretty much what G said. You know, when you're the minority, usually, if you look at history and things like that, once the minority is neglected, usually, you know, they rise up. So, you know, if you look at the French Revolution or and even like white revolutionaries, and what they did is basically ignoring a segment of society, you know, when it comes to particular class. So we all know that minorities are usually, you know, looked down upon and is a subclass of the majority. So
right,
yeah.
But again, just to stay to the plot a little bit. Like you use class, which is I think that's different. So I'll repeat it and just to make sure I understand your answer. Does an appeal to racial/ethnic identity, politics, and isolation help or hurt minorities?
It's kind of a double-edged sword to me. I can't really land anywhere. I'm like on the fence on this.
Okay.
Because one or the other, if you go with one, it could hurt you in the other way, vice versa. So yeah.
All right, we'll keep unpacking. Oh man, talk to us, brother. Do you need me to repeat the question or you got it?
Yeah, go ahead. Let's repeat it.
Does an appeal to racial/ethnic identity, politics, and isolation help or hurt minorities?
In a system of supremacy, whoever is the minority needs to figure out a way to separate themselves so they can have any kind of pull or clarity. And so in that regard, yes, it helps and it's needed, because if not, then they would just be under supremacy and under whoever's the majority, and what they say goes, and that's it.
Gotcha. Talk to us.
I agree with what G said and also what Kofi said, because I think that, you know, if you try to separate yourself too far from, you know what I'm saying, you have to join alignment with something. If you're not powerful, you know what I'm saying, at least have someone that can help you out and try to get you some power. But if you sit and you are a minority and you're there and you know what I'm saying, you're not getting things done or whatever, you have to have an alignment with somebody that can at least try to, you know, help you out. But I think that it doesn't hurt that bad, but it kind of do, because you know what I'm saying, it's just gonna take longer for you to get whatever you want.
Gotcha.
That's
So
how
what you saying? Like you're saying, let me mute you real quick. Okay, it sounds like what you were saying is like a version of alliance and coalition more than isolation. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was saying.
Steve, talk to us, brother.
Y'all already know how I feel about identity politics. Identity politics is pretty much been a detriment to any type of Black progress over the last 60 years, because typically people do not use identity politics to progress Black people. They use identity politics to entrench the status quo. If you want me to give you an example of that, I give you an example in South Carolina. There was a proposal maybe a couple of years ago to actually split up South Carolina and give Black people more power by splitting up the districts. Clyburn sided with Republicans so he could keep his power, because he would like being the kingmaker. Instead of splitting his district into 4 districts that would have been majority Black, I think 3 of them would have been majority Black. Clyburn rather be kingmaker, and he used the identity claim that by splitting up his district, that it will weaken the Black vote. Like that is really how identity politics is used. Like, it's always used to stop us from getting the status quo. So if somebody come up here and say everybody in the country should have healthcare, you'll have some Black politician pop up and say, well, that's not what about the Black specific? It's like, well, can we all just get healthcare first and then we can figure out the Black specific stuff afterwards? So typically Black politicians use identity politics to stop progress and not actually try to progress the race, in my opinion.
Hey, I'm gonna use one of Kofi's comments. That's false. I mean, our history shows that we've always tried to include, and we always say for everyone. So we never started saying just for Black people or a specific type of Black people until recently. So history shows that we're always fighting for a group.
Yeah.
We've been used by the group.
I'm specifically talking about a type of I'm specifically talking about how identity politics have been weaponized over the last 60 years to stop a certain type of progress for workers. That's what identity politics has been used for over the past 60 years. Regardless of how we feel about race, sexuality, whatever, at the end of the day, we all have to go to work, clock in, work a job. And there's a certain type of way in which identity politics have been used to stifle those rights, because they understand that they can divide you along these other lines, then they can abuse you and exploit you in the workplace and so forth and so on. That is the reality of identity politics in America.
I have a question, Steve.
I even posted a chat in the story today about how a bill that's going to give private equity access to your 401k and pension and whatever was framed as an issue that was good for like Black folk. Like,
Hey, Steve, what you're saying sounds good, but identity politics is why we're not still considered 3/5 of a person. So I don't understand what you're talking about.
No, we're not. We're still not considered 3/5 of a person, because somebody argued that and legally found that was unconstitutional. Like, Black people have to give us credit for actually making America uphold and try to uphold the values in which they wrote down. America wrote down values, and Black people is the only people to ever challenge them about them values that they wrote down and actually made them uphold them. That was not an identity claim. We made a claim based off what they wrote down.
So last time I checked, being less than human is 100% an identity claim. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Let me ask a question.
Not if that's how you don't identify.
Let me ask you a question. So, like, okay, to argue how identity politics is being used is one thing, but does that mean that it's inherently can't be used for good?
It can't be.
But we have examples of it being used for good, right?
Like what?
You only said recently. Like, historically, there are examples.
Yeah, I'm about to get to you right now. I'm gonna just throw the question because it leads to where you're at, and then everybody kind of answer after G. Is playing identity politics a useful strategy for Black people? Past symbolism that has led to exploitation, where have we seen it work? Again, we can start in the past, well, in general in American history, and then we can move it to in the past 70 years.
I feel like this is why it was tough to answer the first question, because I feel like identity politics in America is uniquely important for Black people more than other minorities, because other minorities are not owed the same debt that we are owed from America. And when you look at the descendants of the slaves, it's like we want to say that identities are a construct, but you know, slavery was a real thing, and that's how we were identified at a point. And then from there, we were identified as something very specific to hold us down and keep us in an underclass. And so if we can't deny that reality, in my opinion. And then if we're going to make a reasonable argument to the government, it has to be under that identity, because that's who it's owed to. You see what I'm saying? So if the
ethnogenesis argument. Well, I guess what I'm asking is, where have we seen the appeal to identity politics work in a successful manner? Again, like we can go. I think
the most recent is,
and we'll say, like, in general, that is
for Black
not
people, right?
Yeah, for Black people specifically, that isn't just
civil rights. Yeah,
but even the
I think, like, civil rights, most people would say that white women is the.
I think this is the issue. Identity politics has always had a negative connotation, because when what people are essentially saying when they are talking about identity politics, like, identity politics has never been considered a good thing, like, because the connotation people are making about identity politics and why it's something totally framed outside of the normal politic is because this identity framework is used to actually always stop progress. So when people saying the Civil Rights Act is identity politics, it's not. The Civil Rights Act is a constitutional claim. We shouldn't frame the civil rights as identity politics. The Civil Rights Act was a constitutional claim, and yes, we're arguing that Black people have rights, but we also argued that everybody under the Constitution had rights. That's not an identity claim. That's asking the country to uphold the documentation that they wrote down.
Like, simply put, it wasn't beneficial just for Black people, so it's not an identity.
It's not that's not.
And that's where the idea that white women benefited more from civil rights.
Solely identity, to meaning like it was just for one identity, I think is not the same as saying it didn't have nothing to do with identities. Like, it very much had to do with identity.
If you look at the word civil rights, civil right is civil. That's not just for one group. That's for everybody. That's everyone's right. You know, that's why it's not an identity thing, because that's a right for everyone. Everyone's supposed to have these rights. So if you claim that did something great for us, which, you know what I'm saying, all it did was just maybe open some people's eyes that they are ignorant. That's about all it did, but it didn't really do nothing for us. All it did was, you know what I'm saying, it I don't know if it hurt us more than anything else. I don't know, like we somebody say segregation or whatever. All that nothing has ever been given to us. And you know what I'm saying? We always have to take everything. We have to take everything we have.
Hey, hold up. I think we looking at the word like identity politics wrong, and it's like Black people in America. Like,
exactly.
I think one thing we got to understand is, like, the way the system is set up, identity politics is never going to work for us. We saw what happened in the civil rights movement. The last time I can think of, like, a real identity,
mute Unc.
Yeah, mute Unc. But I think the last time I seen like a real identity politics work is for the LGBT community. And you see who benefits from that, and you can even see even amongst that community, you see the people who really benefit from it, and then you ask the Black people on there, and you can see they'll tell you they don't really benefit from that, even though it's identity politics and it worked. it doesn't really work for black people, and usually when it is, we're the ones that are always left out. So I think we're looking at identity politics in the wrong. We don't have enough, force. We don't have enough of the leverage to really use identity politics the way other groups have used it. And even when we do use it, or they throw us a bone, we see how it gets exploited by other, groups who can better leverage that identity.
We are the most
Hold on,
powerful
Steve.
identity. So
Hey, Steve, we got
the
Steve.
LGBTQ
Oh no,
use
my bad. That's
the
old man.
black
All right, go ahead.
identity to get their rights. So I mean, the
You said
identity
what?
politics, LGBTQ community, they use black people, our movements to get those.
So how's
Right.
that
So
identity
Right, but
politics for
that's
us?
exploitation.
They use that, yeah, like that doesn't just help us. It
Now,
helps
usually it's
everybody.
symbolism that leads to exploitation.
And a lot of times they get help more than we did.
yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not identity politics.
No, I think so. I'll re-ask the question. It says, "Is playing identity politics a useful strategy for Black people? Past symbolism that has led to exploitation. Where have we seen it work?"
So yes, it's been useful. Without it, we would still be slaves. Can I just keep it blunt? Like, what is this? This is not a difficult question, guys. Without identity politics, we would still be slaves.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
not
economic.
identity politics,
That
though.
was
Hey,
economic.
I don't understand how
Economic.
being black in America and slavery. I don't understand how that's not tied to our identity.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
just not
Because that's
understanding
not
that
what
at
people.
all.
Like, I think this is the problem that y'all don't understand what people are talking about when they say identity politics. They're not just talking. So, for example, if you want to go read up on this, you could go read up on what was the political advisor for Ronald Reagan? I can't think of his name right now. He wrote a book, and he was able to frame all of these politics around busing, crime, whatever the case may be, around certain racial identities, right? That's how he used racial politics. They call it identity politics, different stuff then, to actually blunt progress of the country. So at one point in this country, we almost passed universal health care in 1972. Richard Nixon almost passed universal health care in 1972. A version of identity politics used during that time was, well, if we do universal health care, Black people is going to get health care too. And they played on white racial animus towards Black people. Those are like identity politics. Just having politics that say we're going to have a policy that benefit Black people, that's not identity politics. Identity politics, the framing of the use of it is something that's empty. It's dismissive. It's not really, it don't have a true agenda. It's not just having something that's going to help Black people.
Can I
And
say something?
Steve, I'm gonna go to
Can I rebuttal?
I got you. And let's go a quick Johnny, then pause. But Kamu, Kobe, Unc, then we'll hit old man and Steve after that. But maybe this is going to make this a lot easier if we just put this precursor to it. Post-slavery, is playing identity politics a useful strategy for Black people? Past symbolism that has led to exploitation, where have we seen it work, Johnny?
No, because the best time when we just talked about it in America is when we weren't really involved in politics. We were focused on our family structure. We were building our own communities, the Tulsas, the Rosewoods, the Wilmingtons. And that's when most people argue and say we were doing our best. And then if you look at post identity politics, civil rights, whatever you want to have it, that's where you see a lot of the degradation in our family structure. That's where you see the mass incarceration. That's where you see the things that lead to what we are today. And
Sound like you want to return to the land.
Hey, that's what you do too, don't you?
I'm just saying.
Hey,
sound like you want to return to the land, Johnny.
Y'all ethno boys. That's the ethno
you
boys
wanna
up there.
return to the land, brother.
But what I'm
Ethno
saying
state
is,
boys.
like,
Talk to them.
we reached our best points in this country without identity politics, and then a lot of the things that we're arguing about have kind of led to a reversal of that, and you see where we're at, and we're begging for scraps in this own thing. So I think
what you're talking about though is separate but equal.
We coming to you. We coming to you. Kamu.
Separate but equal is identity politics, and in that time period, what you're talking about when we were separate, we had the most Black people in government. So I don't get this conversation.
What during identity politics?
So I don't know.
That's when we.
Let's make it around to everybody first, fellas. Come on. Kamu,
Look,
give us a quick under a
I don't
minute, then I
understand.
just let y'all niggas go crazy.
Okay. To Johnny's point, I don't understand how is that not identity politics. Group economics is a symptom of identity politics. Look, guys, I think politics in its nature, in its essence, is tribalistic. If you look at it really, a politician often speaks to their constituency. You can't be a politician without a tribe, quote unquote, or a constituency, which points you to a certain identity. There's nothing wrong with being clear, like Donald Trump, that you are a racist and you look out for white interests. Um, the problem becomes when people start to lie and make promises to groups that they don't really care about. Fact of the matter is politics in its essence, at its core, it's tribalistic, and constituencies have to be represented. Hence we have things like councils and I don't know what you call them in America, but like we have parliaments and legislatures where people come together with different ideas to try to find a common ground. People with different sets of thinkings and all of those things. So politics in its essence, tribalistic.
Gotcha. Kofi, talk to us, brother. Do you need me to re-ask the question, or you got it?
I was a little bit distracted. It's pretty much we talk about the same thing, but black people as far as
So I'll re-ask the question. Post-slavery, is playing identity politics a useful strategy for black people? Past symbolism that has led to exploitation, where have we seen it work?
Like I said in the Discord, every people go on the Discord. It should be fair Discord. I said there that there's no such thing as a classless, raceless, genderless American. So to do that and say, well, identity politics is placating to something nefarious makes no sense. That's not the world. That's not the country that we live in. So
doesn't help black people.
When it comes to black people, yes, we have to play identity politics because there's no one group here that has the same exact history. Black people in America have a specific history, right, to this country that has never been rectified. So you have to play identity politics. The thing is, it's pretty much what Steve said, is how you go about that. Don't letting other people weaponizing your struggle for their own benefits. That is a problem. And since 1776, when the Constitution was drawn up and they were like, these truths are so to be evident, pursuit of happiness and all this other stuff, Dred Scott was like, I'm a man, I just got free, am I a citizen? No, right, nigga, you're not.
So really quickly, just to kind of reframe and go right back to you. So again, post-slavery, is it a useful strategy for black people in a sense of like, where have we seen? Can you point to where it has worked at?
So basically,
post-slavery and where it has worked at for specifically black people.
Well, the civil rights era has that, and we have to pretty much. They started something that was.
Would you say that black people were even let's say like top 2 or 3 benefactors of the civil rights movement?
Yeah,
it hurt us.
So again, we had this conversation before. So Johnny said it hurts you. So you want Jim Crow back. So you want Jim Crow. You want to be in your own neighborhoods. You want taxation without representation. So when you say civil rights hurt you, so I'm trying to understand where you're trying to say. So it was better that civil rights didn't happen because we had our own businesses and things of that nature.
Yeah, like I think there's a difference in saying post civil rights, we went from being self-sufficient to thinking that the white man's ice was colder and their grass was greener, and we let our institutions fall, and we.
But therein lies the myth. Therein lies the myth. We weren't self-sufficient.
Well, I push back on that a little bit.
Therein lies the myth.
I see.
No, I push back on that a little bit, Steve, because that's not the problem. The
You
problem,
say-
the problem, the
you
problem,
say-
the problem is that
Self-sufficient
once civil
relative,
rights,
relative to
but
being
once,
in
once,
America.
once civil rights
I
happened
think
and occurred, it goes
I
to
would
what Gene
argue.
was
I
saying.
would argue we were more
Hey, fellas,
self-sufficient.
right now everybody's talking at the same time. Let's go Kofi, Steve, and then Johnny. Kofi, yeah, I guess everybody's been trying to land within like a minute. So let's go 30 more seconds to kind of like land your point. Then I think Steve has a rebuttal, then we'll go to Johnny.
Yeah, I know. I
think
need
D
20,
wants to get in there too.
Yeah, I'll answer it, but what G was saying was absolutely right. Is that the white man's ice is cold and the grass is green? It had nothing to do with black people as a whole. Black people as a whole was self-sufficient. Black people as a whole was self-sufficient. So it was a mentality of black people back then, because it's like, oh, we get into white spaces now. So it's like, you know, we don't have to, like, I don't know what it is. I wasn't in that era. I talked to black Americans that was in that era, and I get a consensus. Some people is pretty much say, you know, white ice was colder, so less black people patronize black businesses, and then that's how the black businesses died. So it was like a double-edged sword. It should have been like
that hurt us.
All right, so let's go, Steve.
This is just ahistorical. This is just ahistorical, and we can take the most common example: Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street is dependent on the larger oil economy of Oklahoma. So the black people who
That's only one Black Wall Street. That's only one Black Wall Street.
But
Rosewood.
But the trend is the same everywhere. There's a large.
Durham was sponsored by them white folk at Duke.
Hold on, no.
Durham was sponsored by them white folk at Duke, though.
Let's be real. The trend
That's
is the
kind of
same.
what he's saying.
The trend is the same everywhere. For every Black Wall Street, the people who provide patronage to those black businesses work in the larger economy that's ran by white folks. So in North Carolina, it was tobacco. In Oklahoma, it was oil. And so forth and so on. That's not self-sufficiency, being dependent on the larger white economy to then have money to go patronize black businesses. That's not self-sufficiency.
But it's a better
No,
model.
I get what you're saying.
But wouldn't it be a better model than what we got now?
Hold on, Kofi, we got to run
up
Johnny real quick.
1944, most black people was either sharecroppers or they was either house or women was house workers. What are we talking about? For white folk,
Johnny.
that's not self-sufficient.
So
Johnny,
fucking pre-industrial revolution.
Yeah, I was gonna say
sharecroppers.
most people.
Sharecroppers and house
Steve, let Johnny in real quick. Go ahead.
I'm saying a lot of people were farmers and a lot of people were rural. That was a big part of the economy back then. Also,
no, they wasn't farmers. Farmers is a.
I'm saying it's just people in general. Just people in general. Rural.
To be
that
made
thing
between
was.
Being a. There's a distinction to be made between being a sharecropper and being a farmer. Those are not the same thing.
We also did we also not have our own schools that have like went down? What about mass incarceration that has happened under this new integration system? And so they have still like figured out a way to keep us, but we still don't have those things. We don't have the same, black businesses and the same Black Wall Street, but we do have, it's been replaced with mass incarceration.
Hey Steve, you got a very revisionist history.
No, I don't. This the truth.
Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. I just came back. I just came back from
Steve
Tulsa
It's the
today.
difference between a farmer and a sharecropper.
It's like all or nothing with you, Steve. It's like, okay, self-sufficient. All right, so if that's your argument and how you want to frame being self-sufficient, then by definition, like there is no such thing as self-sufficiency in America, from what I'm hearing, based off how you put
white
it.
people.
Even the whites, because even then they don't own. Like most of
I think his point is the idea that the dominant what is it? The dominant society, generally speaking,
I believe like this is the problem. I fundamentally believe in society, so there is no disconnected if we all live in one society. We are interconnected and we are
but Steve, let's talk about the one we living in right now versus the one you want. Like,
but even in the one we live in now, these disillusions that people have that somehow all of this stuff is separate actions that don't have no impact over each other. All of this stuff is interconnected, whether we want to admit to it or not.
I don't think that's an argument, honestly.
Yeah, we all agree with that.
I don't think that's an argument.
So why are we like it doesn't work? It doesn't work, and it has never been the case where people are separate from the larger society that they are part of. That's just not how it works.
No, Steve. The argument here was you had it better before civil rights.
We didn't.
Than now. Whether
we were poor.
Wait. That's not the argument at all.
We did
right now we're talking about if identity politics is a useful strategy and where have we seen it work? I think, was somebody making an appeal to the idea that identity politics worked prior to civil rights, and like Black Americans having to be segregated led to a better version of Black existence in America. I can't remember who made the claim, but that's pretty much what their claim was.
We were poor. We were poor.
Whoever said we were better off before civil rights, I don't know exactly what the context was and who said that and why, because I don't know. But if you want to talk about like what we actually owned in terms of institutions, Steve, I think there's a clear decline of Black-owned institutions pre-civil rights, post-civil rights. And that initial point, I think, is objectively clear. Would you disagree?
I want y'all. I'm not even gonna tell y'all the stuff, but I just want y'all to go look at the creation of like Black businesses over the past 50, 60, however many years you want to look at. I just want you to go look at the increase in the amount of Black businesses and tell me, has that had any positive ramification on the larger Black community?
No. But Steve, you're talking about Black business. I'm talking about Black enterprise. I'm saying institutions. I'm talking about like banking, insurance, hospitals.
We used to own music.
Even the bank, the school, the y'all need to go look up who helped open these. Crackers, white folk.
I don't disagree. I don't
the
disagree.
Freedmen's Bank is underpinned by money from white folk.
White folks don't have their hand in everything, Steve.
Everything goes to the
Steve
government.
jumping up the layers tonight. All right, I like that.
Right now, everything goes to the government.
HBCUs is started by white folk.
Not
I mean,
mine.
I could go down the
What's
line.
Sam say, baby? Not mine. Simon Green Atkins. Hey, man, we started like a little house on the prairie, man. Just a nigga with a house trying to raise the community.
What about Central?
Oh yeah, shout out to Shepard.
You're about to say. I think that's whatever Shepard.
Hey, Steve, the louder you yell doesn't make you right.
Because this is why I push back on this. Because for us to say that it was better back then, and then our ancestors fought for something that led to worse conditions, it's almost like saying that they were stupid.
No.
No one said it was better back then. What you?
Johnny literally set up and said it was better back then.
I said that.
If you didn't say that, I'm not. If you didn't say that, I'm not arguing with you.
Johnny said.
Hey, no, I know I misspoke. I misspoke a little bit, but yeah, I did say that. But like, I do think there was a loss in like ownership of our thing. I think there was like.
I'm only jumping off the ledge on the people who make the claim that it was better back then, because that's such an
I wouldn't say it's better.
claim.
I wouldn't say it's better.
That's an asinine claim. You literally can fuck white women in 2025, Johnny. What the fuck are you talking about?
You could do
it. You ain't got to die for it. Johnny, you said drop that box.
You saw
you said the drop that Caucasian box.
Playing in the snow.
Up here talking about it was better back then. They would have what?
Niggas was snowboarding on the plantation now.
That ain't even my. Yeah, no, chill out.
Niggas was taking pictures for that white box. Niggas was risking getting their limbs cut off for that white box. So
so far off topic because it's all identity politics.
Johnny, you crazy.
All identity politics. So I don't know where we're headed. I don't know where we're headed because it's all identity politics.
I think
even being Democrat and Republican is identity politics on the surface. It's like it's all based in these identities. Being liberal,
but my point was it hasn't helped us. Like that's
but the critique I'm making of it is that's bad. It is like it's not a matter of if it is or if it isn't. The I'm answering the question and saying framing politics in that way is bad and doesn't work.
That is what the whole American system is based on. Of course, it's bad because it doesn't benefit anyone who's not white. But it's still, in order to survive in a system of identity politics, you have to have an identity. And we have the most powerful.
We do workers.
And we have the most powerful and justified identity because we built the country, we're native to the land, and we have ancestors that were enslaved with us over on this land from Africa. We're the only
How you
identity
native
that
to the
has-
land? That's ahistorical history again. Like, what are you talking about?
Listen, we got more
here we
episodes.
go.
Wait,
We got more
let me just
episodes
say
for that.
this.
We
Let
don't
me
get
just
into
say
that.
this.
Let's not go there.
You're a corn stock or something? You corn?
No,
Let me
no,
just,
let's
can
go
I
for
just say
Kofi.
this one thing? Let me say this
Let's
one thing in
like
response.
Kofi,
Let
old
me
man.
just
We
say
don't
this
want
one
to go there.
thing.
We good.
So
Hey,
Kofi,
hey, Alphonse, we about to
please
get to you, brother.
let me say this one
Come on,
thing.
bring it
Oh,
back
nigga
in.
Alphonse, man.
I just
No.
arrived.
Alphonse was just in here. I think ain't that how you say
Let
his
me
name?
just say this one thing. Response. I just arrived
I
from
think
Tulsa,
name
Oklahoma
Al Morris.
today,
That's his name.
about 3 hours ago.
Mhm.
I was tracking my history. My great grandma is Full Creek. So shut your ass up, Kofi. You don't know what you're talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. I know you ain't. I know you more
That's
African than
native
a
to the
Native
land,
American.
bro.
And they got white people saying that they Native Americans
Bro,
too.
I
So
have
shut
the
your stupid ass
documents.
up.
Whether you
Hey,
believe
fellas,
it or not, you don't know what
And
you're
we
talking
can't
about.
see who you are. You can be a white boy for
Let me
Shut the
let
fuck
me
up
mute.
and sit
Hey,
your
no
white
matter what I
ass
say,
down.
All
Kofi
right,
gonna
here
have
we
an
go.
argument.
Let him to the backstage. Let him to the backstage.
All right, we good. Hey, fellas, I'm gonna throw to our guy Al Morris, Old Man, and Kofi.
Kofi jealous as
Next
hell.
week, listen. Next week we can get into like, do Black Americans have an identity crisis? And I'm sure y'all want to get directly into that meat right there. And we'll get there. Yeah, my bad.
My
Even
God,
put the hands
that's
with it too.
terrible.
Like,
That's
Pause, brother.
terrible.
Pause.
Oh, that's
God,
terrible.
My bad.
Ill,
My bad.
brother, ill.
All black people have an identity crisis.
Oh,
That's
man.
where
Yeah.
I'm at, my friend.
That's
All
a
right.
bad.
So
more than us.
fellas, just to stay to the plot of the conversation. I'll throw to you. I'll ask you the same question that we asked everybody, and I'd love to get your opinion to it. Post-slavery, is playing identity politics a useful strategy for Black people? Past symbolism and exploitation, where have we seen it work at? What's your thoughts?
Well, I want to with a gentleman. I was really tapping in about the self sufficiency thing and
Okay.
the cultural direction. See, I think where people kind of get it misconstrued is that okay, if you look at responsible Southern leadership after the Emancipation Proclamation, a lot of those people left the antebellum that antebellum plantation mindset, uh, more so trying to make Black society a self or a self-determining people. So if you look at like the Tennis Campbells, the Edward McCabe's, the Isaiah Thomas Montgomerys, Booker T. Washington, um, who else would be Free Frank McWhorter. A lot of these people, it was more about okay, we were under this system where we had to depend on the planter class for a complete way of life, right? And so it's like okay, so and now I want to go into we could be self-help, self-reliant, and these different type of things. Now certain things, right? Black people excelled uh, fast at as far as like family development, as far as the literacy gap, as far as what was something else that was real fast, family formation, literacy, and community cohesion. Those were like maybe three things that, as far as what we could control, those were things that Black people made an incremental increase in quickly. Now, as far as the economics, because a lot of people talk about the I guess you say like the Tulsas or those two different type of things. Those things we were never self-sufficient in that way. Now the direction or the I guess you would say the culture of that time, like the A.D. Williams and the William Steeles, as far as in the South was to cultivate entrepreneurship, ownership, thrift. But like I said, we needed help. That was pretty much the schism between Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, because Booker T. Washington said, "Okay,
Al,
we'll give up civil
30 seconds.
rights."
Keep going. 30 seconds. Just giving you.
Oh, okay, so we'll pretty much give up civil rights. We'll give up, uh, the right to vote and representation, just so we can develop. We can start being able to develop our skills, being able to develop business acumen, and these different things because those things weren't available in the plantation system. So I think where people are getting misconstrued is because, for the most part, those things would have took hundreds. Those were things would probably took 100+ years. So when people say, "Well, we were never this," but like it's like, well, look where you were coming from. Like we have to look. It has to be relative to where you were at. So if you come up out of a system where, for the bulk of our foreparents couldn't read, couldn't write, and weren't literate, to now building towns, now so everything has to be relative. It's like, yeah, we weren't self-sufficient, and for the most part, we were always dependent on other groups for a way of life. But it was what you were working towards. So so how they say, like, Rome wasn't built in a day. So it
Mhm.
was like, okay, you had to kind of, like, it had to be over your generations. It's like, okay, like now when King and that different leadership came, they pretty much said no self-help. So no self-development, no self-help. We want a bigger thing as far as statist. And we want a bigger government, and we want this legislation that will, build the middle class. So it was because King on them, they were anti-bootstrap. We want
Mhm.
bigger government to, provide a way of life for us. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where the people get it confused, because like if you think about identity politics, I mean, I don't want to talk too long about it, but I just think like that it was a longer road. It was a longer road that would have led to something better, as opposed to maybe civil rights was a band-aid for the shorter road, but then in the long run, it really was going to destroy what you need to do to propel. You know what I mean? If I'm making myself
Gotcha.
clear.
Yeah. All right, fellas. I'll toss that one into the air for y'all guys. Go ahead. G.
What's the question again?
Oh no, I'm just. Well, I can re-ask the question. I didn't know if y'all want to
Oh,
respond to
I
what
I,
G
I
said.
I I agree with what he was saying. I think, like you say, like even if we weren't like beforehand, even if we weren't like self sufficient fully, we were working towards it. And it was a goal, and I think after civil rights, I think a lot of people just gave up on the system of like building, a separate but equal system, and just like assimilating to our own system, and that's not any more self sufficient. And I think we still, see the ramifications of that. We still complain about, how the school systems treat us, how the police treat us, how, the government treats us in general. So I think, you know, if we would have stayed on that path, we may not have, ended up here.
And I mean, like I said, I agree a lot with what he said as well. And I do think there is some sort of correlation related to like the detriment of our community and how much help we receive from the federal government. I do think that we often these programs that are quote unquote made to help folks in our community often end up being generationally detrimental in ways where they get stuck in these cycles and not really like looking to get out of them a lot of the time. So I agree with a lot he said. Like prior to the civil rights movement, we didn't really look to government for help. And I think post civil rights movement, it's been expected that we'll get help from the government. And I don't think that mindset's been beneficial.
Can I just say that identity politics is global? It always has been, always will be. It's the reason why. So how it would have benefited us before the European colonizer came, the conquistadors came, when we had all these different territories of different indigenous people. If they grouped together under one identity, we would never have the America we have now. It's because they were being able to be split up, and some identified as white and some identified as black. That's how we got conquered. So identity politics is tribal. Whether you put up a physical border or not, everyone has their borders, always have.
Gotcha. Kofi, we ain't heard from you in a minute. Talk to us, brother.
I don't want to get nobody upset. I'm trying to be on my best behavior. Now, pretty much, I pretty much agree with everything. The only thing I wanted to push back on is what Old Man said about what the Waterbergs, the syndrome with the kids with the blue eyes. That is a mutation. That's not something it's called Waterberg syndrome. So when people talk about genetics and things like that don't understand genetics, you can't interbreed with someone that's a mutation. You get that particular mutation. It's not a real particular trait. It's just a mutation. Like how you can have two midgets have like a regular person. You're not going to get a midget. So that
I don't think you're supposed to say that word, Kofi.
I don't think you can say that.
Speaking
no
of
more.
identity
I'm
politics,
sorry. True.
Speaking of
Little
identity
people.
politics, you about to get our shit flagged, nigga. Like,
True.
relax.
Man, this
Vertically
man
challenged.
This
I
man
apologize.
talking about Whataburger eyes and little people.
Hey, Kofi. Hey, Kofi,
Vertically challenged.
I said it was a mutation. Hey, Kofi, I said it was a mutation.
Yeah, but you said it's like a trait also. But okay, cool. Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
say
y'all ain't even arguing about that. Y'all agree.
Yeah,
It's
I said
okay.
it's a mutation. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So
a lack of melanin.
oh yeah, melanin in the eyes and the cornea. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's why you get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I pretty much agree with everybody saying. I'm just enjoying the conversation. My whole thing with the whole identity politics when it comes to black people, and I know Q, you're gonna shut me down, but it goes into it's gonna go somewhere else because that's where it is. Like all black people outside of Africa have an identity crisis. You know what I'm saying? Because what slavery did was remove who you were. We were niggas. We were nigga one, nigga two, nigga boy, nigga man. That's it. That doesn't tell you who you are or what you are. So us suffering identity crisis is something. So people that were in World War II, I ain't gonna say who, that happened to them within a generation. So they can say, "Oh, I'm from Poland," or "I'm from Russia," "I'm from here." They still have all that intact. They don't have a identity crisis. They know who their identity is. To the fact that they play both sides of a minority and white, you know, so they know who they are. With us, is going to go a little bit deeper. I mean, war, politics is a bloodless war, so it goes deeper than that. But you said we get into that next week, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right. With that said, I think that that probably leaves us at a good spot where we can kind of round the conversation off and go a little bit into part 2 next week, where we can dive a little bit more into what y'all really want to get to. I see old man Kofi. If y'all want to pull up early, just let me know next week. We can have
I'll let you know now.
very fun
Done.
conversation.
Uh-oh. What up,
Listen,
old man?
What's the conversation? What are we leaning towards?
I think that next week we'll unpack a little bit more of just the last half of the title, where it says, "Are we in a Black American identity crisis?" I think that's where y'all wanted to argue at a second ago when y'all was about to get into it. We'll talk about that and unpack
Can we make it broad? Can we make it broad because they don't see like because they always feel like they're being attacked. My stance is that like I said, black people outside Africa. So that goes for Black Americans, Black people from the Caribbean, Black people from South America. All have.
Hey, listen, we'll have all the conversations. I'm also going to make sure that the good
American
part is the part.
identity crisis.
Okay.
Listen, we gonna make it clickbaity for the internet. But
hey, Coach,
I'm trying to make it fair where they can
fellas, let me end this real quick, and then y'all can cook inside the after show. But nonetheless, this has been a really fun episode of Unpack. Shout out to the guys, everybody that's contributed. G the King, y'all see the Cash App. Make sure that you hit him up. Make sure that you follow, like, subscribe the channel. Johnny P, catch him this Sunday 4:30 at the To Be Fair show. We'll be talking politics, mental health, and a whole bunch of dumbass jokes, and memes as well. Side chicks is definitely like a poignant point of the show. But Kamu, fresh from South Africa. Shout out to our guys. Kofi just tried to do his best to get us canceled. What do you say? Whataburger and little people. But shout out to old man Cali, San Diego, if I'm not mistaken. One of our guys. Old man is old man. And it's nothing like a good old man and Kofi beef. And when we say old man and Kofi beef, that could be old man or that could be Unc. Unc, he left us. But shout out to Unc also joining us as well. Al, our guy, gave us some really good gems. And last but not least, San Diego's finest. So maybe it's Texas finest, Dallas finest. Steve A lot of gems dropped. We appreciate you, brother. With that said, this has been a fire panel, fire episode, fire conversation. There's a lot of things to take away from it. And with that said, next week we'll pick off where we left at. We'll do Black Americans have a identity crisis? I think that Kofi also wants to expand it to the diaspora. We'll get there, but nonetheless, fellas, like that said, we out. Peace.
It doesn't